4th of September 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is news to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. A new UN report publicized on September 2nd titled Caribbean Gangs, Drugs, Firearms, and Gang Networks in Jamaica, St. Lucia, Guyana, and TNT identified Venezuelan criminal gangs participating in serious crime in Trinidad and Tobago, both in competition and in collaboration with local gangs. The report listed the types of crimes engaged by Venezuelan criminals as extortion, human trafficking, and the smuggling of illegal drugs and guns. The report said TNT had a thriving drug trade, serving as a major transit point for cocaine and cannabis. This country was well regarded by organized crime networks owing to its location just 11 kilometers from Venezuela and its position outside of the hurricane belt, which allows year-round trafficking, the report said. The report added, what is more, strong cultural ties in southern Trinidad and Venezuela had ensured that coastal regions, including Icacos, Cedros, and Moruga, are sites for extensive trafficking of drugs, guns, and migrants. Despite $5 billion being allocated to the Education Ministry, challenges in schools in TNT faced with repairs stem from a lack of sufficient funding. This from Education Minister Dr. Nian Gasby-Dolly, who made as she defended the lack of readiness of some schools for the new academic year this past Monday. Gasby-Dolly said the ministry is left with only $150 million for school repair programs, which after the $5 billion allocation is divided into recurrent and other expenses. She added most of the budget is tied up in recurrent expenditure, which means money is primarily used to run organizations, not for school repairs. That's why anything related to school maintenance is always constrained by a tight budget. The minister provided a breakdown of some of the ministry's critical expenditure, which she noted is the main reason the ministry cannot focus on much of the resources needed for the school repair program. Meanwhile, the Education Ministry also says government is unable to build a new school for students at the Mount Hope Secondary School. In the interim, however, she says they will continue to make repairs to the existing structure so they can make it more comfortable for students and teachers. Addressing the issue in a media interview yesterday in the wake of protest over conditions in the school by the PTA on Monday, the minister admitted it is one of the schools carded for a new building. Farmers were upset on Tuesday as state lands they claimed to have occupied for over 50 years was repossessed by the Urban Development Corporation of TNT Udicott to prepare for phase 2 of the Diego Martin Sporting Complex. A statement from Udicott issued on September 3rd yesterday said it secured the lands to begin construction work. The statement said, quote, the project would complement phase 1, strategically providing education, sporting, and recreational facilities for the community. The statement issued a homework center, a children's play park, a community play field, 2 multi-purpose hard courts, a swimming pool, a pavilion, and public washrooms, and an electric kiosk. Several field crops were destroyed in the process, including eggplants, figs, and sweet peppers. One farmer said they proceeded to use the backhoe to plow through the eggplant straight to a shed used for whole chemicals. He said then came through the fig and then the soursop and sweet pepper fields. The statement from Udicott said one of the 3 occupiers accepted a parcel of land and compensation for his crops. It also claimed the 2 other occupiers refused the offer of land and compensation for existing crops, instead requesting exorbitant sums of over $1.1 million each. They were served with notices to vacate the lands by the Office of the Commissioner of State Lands. A 61-year-old pensioner who was recovering from eye surgery was found dead at her Rima home following an alleged home invasion on Monday. The body of Leila Hyacinth Dankla was discovered in her ransacked bedroom by police officers who responded to a call from relatives who were unable to reach her. She was found lying on the floor with a pillow over her face and sheet partially covering her body. No apparent marks of violence were seen about the body except for blood smeared around her genital region. Dankla, 90-year-old, a mother who suffered from advanced dementia, also lives in a house located in Johnson Avenue, was found unharmed in another bedroom. Sergeant Kevin Ashing from the Court and Process Branch in the Port of Spain, who lives nearby, was contacted by Dankla's relatives on Monday evening after calls to her cell phone went unanswered. The relatives alleged contacting Ashing after being unable to reach her, following which He sought help from Arima police station around 5:40 p.m. Investigations are continuing into the incident. In news of the region, authorities in Guyana have seized more than 8,000 pounds of cocaine found in a lush jungle near the border with Venezuela. The land seizure is considered one of the biggest in recent history, with Guyana's Security Minister Robinson Ben telling reporters he estimated the drugs are worth $200 million. The drugs were found in the earthen pits in Guyana's northwest region. Police arrested one suspect and said they're looking for two more who fled the scene. Guyana and police and military, along with the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, were involved in the operation. And the Venezuelan government described the Falcon seizure as piracy in a statement on Monday and accused Washington of escalating aggression toward Maduro's government following a contested presidential poll in July. Maduro's government statement read, once again, the authorities of the U.S. are recurring criminal practices that could not be labeled anything but piracy and have illegally seized an aircraft that has been used by the President of the Republic of Venezuela, justifying its action in coercive measures that illegally and unilaterally impose around the world. The U.S. seized Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro's airplane after determining its acquisition was in violation of U.S. sanctions, among other criminal issues. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming your way at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
It is Hump Day Wednesday. That is right, the fourth day of September. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show. Full cast in this morning. We just heard from the one, the only, Dr. Paul Richards. We'll hear from the one, the only, Wendell Stephen and Richard Raghubarson. We got Ruben and Shane in the mix. Of course, my name is Steve Khan. 24 degrees at Piarco International Airport. It is 26 degrees at our beautiful sister isle, Crown Point in Tobago. And the Met Office is saying today is going to be hot and sunny. There's a 20 to 30% low chance of the isolated afternoon heavy shower or thunderstorm favoring western and hilly areas. All right, so there you go. Traffic-wise, sticky spot, Couva to Sugargonas and Jollyville to the interchange. A bit of volume there and some volume on the Churchill Roosevelt Highway. So good morning to Paul. What's happening?
Good morning, Steve.
What's going on? What's going on?
A lot.
Yeah, boy. Always a lot to know. Seems like this country just cannot settle down. Cannot.
It's part of what evolution is.
Yeah, I guess. I certainly guess. All right.
Good morning, Wendell.
Wendell is here.
Hi.
Yeah, he
Good
is.
morning. Good morning, gentlemen, and good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning, listeners and viewers. What did I miss?
Boy, I don't know where to start. You missed a lot within that first minute. Yeah, Paul was telling us what he did last night. We can't repeat it.
But I tried to watch cricket, and then cricket started to watch me, and then I woke up about 2 o'clock thinking it was 6 o'clock, and I couldn't go back to sleep. So
what? I don't know how that happens to you. I really don't.
Yeah, it does. It does. I know why, but I know why. I think I know why. I don't think I'll ever be able to fix it though.
Yeah, man. I gave you the number to call. Anyway. Let's use Santa's Hellos first thing this morning. A lot of people on already, like Anthony Tinto out in Ontario, Canada, Wayne Bennett in Covington, Georgia. And happy birthday to you, Wayne. You went MIA for a while. So happy birthday, Wayne. Hope all is well. Have a great, great day. Riri out in West Palm Beach, Florida. Got Celia out in Valencia. Maria Celia. Sasha out in London. CJ in New York. Miss Ingrid locked on. Today she marks her 45th anniversary of migrating to the U.S.
Yeah, I got that message from her. Happy
Yeah.
45th anniversary, Miss Ingrid.
And
I don't know
Arizona
if she's
has
ever been back, but
uh,
she didn't say if she's ever been back, but today is 45 years since she left.
yeah, and Arizona has been scorching hot. I think it broke a record, the amount of consecutive days of heat. I'll find it shortly. Pearl Cordis, good morning. Marcia Rock in Orlando. Dwayne Sylvester, Ewan Rajpal, David Ways, and of course, Mrs. Wells. John Cato, Gloria Gray, Bisnath Prasad, Rena Budu Jennings, Slick Money Grip, and Brenda Isaac. Good morning to you all. Sankofa, Val, Captain Ron, Dan Raj, Oliver Manwaring. Good morning to you all on WhatsApp as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Lots of you logged on already. And those on Me TV, good morning to you all as well as you watch us on Me TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I went on what today is? Monday. I went to pay my property tax, and thanks for the advice to the folks who sent me to Tunapuna. But I think you can actually go to any warden's office and pay your property tax. I think so. But you can't pay with a card. So I had to track.
You cannot?
No, you can't. At least
cash only?
That's what I was to cash or check, I think. So I had to
go open the door for corruption.
Yeah,
That's basically when they say cash and check only. Well, check is a check, is a balance, but cash is an open door for corruption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I parked in Tunapuna, Centenary Street. There's a car park there, right by the bus route there. I parked there, and that's the guy who told me, if you're going to pay property tax, you have to get cash. I said, So I have to walk through the streets of Tunapuna now, all the way, and I have Royal Bank, and I didn't have my Republic Bank card, and I went to Republic Bank in a very busy area of Tunapuna, and that Republic Bank there's nothing private about that ATM. You go inside the bank, it's everybody next to one another. You understand? There's nothing private about it. And so I had to withdraw cash, something I don't do. I don't use ATMs at all, except for dropping an envelope in it. You understand? I don't use ATMs. And I felt very uncomfortable using that ATM that day. And then walking back through that busy area of Tunapuna, it so happens when I got back there, there was someone who I knew, Ricardo Revenalis, morning, Mr. Rev. He was almost at the top of the line to pay because there was a long line. And I said, well, boy, God sent you here today. Because he called out to me. And I ended up giving him my slip and my cash, and he paid it for me. So I got in and out, but there was a long line. So it'll be very interesting to hear how much they collected from property tax by the deadline of September 30th, which is also budget day, not so, Paul?
Well, it has not been officially announced yet, but my understanding is someone told me that's going to be the date that the Honorable Minister of Finance will put as the budget date, but that has not been confirmed.
Yeah. So my property tax is paid, at least for
and it is a Monday. So and budgets have always been traditionally read on a Monday.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, but a lot of people were there paying the tax. So let's hope. Let's hope that they have something good to report, because certainly in a year's time, if Tumpuna Road and Arima ain't fixed, they're going to hear my mouth. That road is the worst road in the entire Arima district.
They'll blame the corporation.
Yeah?
That's all.
Yeah,
But
they'll blame the corporation.
Yeah. But as I say, road Wendell. So I don't know who decided to fix the flyover coming into Port of Spain by NP and Bagwan Sings.
When they say who decided, and
I don't know if
you've been calling for it to be fixed all the time. Is the Ministry of Works fix it?
Ministry. Well, let me tell you, I don't know when last you all drove on that. I drove on it this morning.
I haven't been driving.
And you know what? I'm going to say it. How stupid could you be? How stupid could you be? There is a flyover. There's metal railings on the road for it when it's hot, it can expand and so on. You know what they did? They paved over it. So it's a hump. So you have to go through 5 humps. A regular speed humper. And I don't know who the supervisor is that says, oh yeah, that's great job. Excellent job, gentlemen.
So they put a hump thing knowing it will sink.
Well,
and become flat.
In my mind, they put a patch over where those metal grates supposed to be for it to expand and so on. But it's starting to eat away already. So I don't know who went there and decided to put the pitch. And the supervisor saying, well done, and put a big hump, because everybody now, you're coming off a highway to take an exit ramp, and you almost come into a stop because everybody have to go through these humps.
Oh. Yep.
I don't know, I don't know. I really don't know.
I don't pass there, so I wouldn't have to experience that.
I
can't tell you last time.
I'm not going to mention this again.
Kazim Mohammed is saying you can use links at the government, your cards at the government campus. Okay.
That is true, because I have a friend who went and paid her property tax in Port of Spain, and she did use her links. And she said they told her you can use links or credit card there, or pay cash, or check.
Okay. Well, that's good. Well, Tonapuna need to step up the game.
Well, why am I not surprised?
Things that make you go.
But as I was talking about Tumpuna Road, I actually walked Tumpuna Road the other day. I went actually by the church on Farfan Street, and I decided I will walk back home. And let me tell you something: the pavements and the road they are a disaster. There are several manholes covers missing. It's a trip hazard for anybody with any kind of disability or even ability. Tumpuna Road needs serious, urgent attention. Urgent attention. And I think I saw Lisa Morris respond to a posting on Facebook about it already, that Tumpuna Road is earmarked for upgrade soon. Well, they don't just need to do the road, they need to also do the pavements. And the pavements are pretty almost road level. So it's even a danger walking on that road, because cars could run off that road and hit you easier.
Well, you're talking about pavements, and as you and I walk a lot, right? And there seems to be no, I guess it depends on the topography of the place, standardized way to build the pavements in this country.
No, they don't.
I will tell you, I understand why people choose to walk almost in a drain, because walking up and down pavements is an obstacle course in this country.
I see it every day.
Up, small gate opening down, big gate opening down, go back up, come back down. So,
that's why you walk on the road.
Well, walking on the road is dangerous, and it
kind of puts not going up and down, up and down. 3rd Avenue, Barrett Carrier, you see it. Nobody walks on the pavement.
Yeah.
Anyway, good morning to you all.
So I get the message that Tumpuna Road is a Ministry of Works road. So okay, property tax won't depend on it, and it's going to be rehabilitated very soon. Well, that's great news. Thank you very much, sir, from the Ministry of Works. And I find again real calls and messages from Ministry of Works people these days, boy.
Did they get the videos? Good morning, Raghubasu.
They got it.
Good morning, guys, and good morning to our listeners and viewers. Which road is that you were talking about?
Tumpuna Road, Richard.
I laugh and I scoff at thee.
You get very Shakespearean, yes. Anyway, the Minister of Education, in an interview on I-95 yesterday.
Wait, stop, Paul. Stop. She did an interview on I-95?
Yeah.
Wait, let me just take off my headphones. I have wax buildup. Because I did ask her.
You don't have enough rank. Face it, Steve.
I did ask her, and she
you
said.
You don't have enough rank, so what's the big deal?
You know she said, I'll tell you what she said. I'm going to be verbatim. Yeah, let me just get it.
I tell you what to do already. Just say Paul off for the week.
She says, so I asked her, she said, hi, Steve, I'll take a rain check.
And then Paul off for the week.
And then I put a sticker from Terence Dial saying, I wept.
Maybe she thinks we're not paying him enough.
Who that?
Wow.
Dr. Nan Gatsby Dolly. No, man.
Yeah.
If I call her, she always responds to me, you know.
It's not about responding to you.
It's about coming for the interview.
You responded to Steve.
No, I will talk. I will have a chat
She
with her. I know
basically told Steve, she basically said, Steve, no, I'm not coming on the show in a very polite manner.
But I'll go 995.
I wonder which one all you're giving trouble.
Let's see.
I said, tell Steve, stay Paul off for the week, you'll get through.
I was just broadly saying it. Obviously, me maybe not kind of paying. I mean, not for fit the mold for, you know, something like that.
If you say Paul off for the week, anyway, the Honorable Minister said that
And a fiery mood this morning.
the $5 billion allocated to the Education Ministry, and by the way, education and or national security has, in the last two administrations, gotten the biggest pie of the budget. The only time health got more was during COVID-19. Not so? The pandemic. $5 billion being allocated to the ministry is insufficient to embark on the level of remedial works needed in the ministry. She says, when you take out recurrent expenditure and other expenditure, they're left with $150 million for the school repair program.
It's saying not Dr. Dan Gatsby.
Yeah, she said to an interview on
Why don't you
I-95.
sit down and have a talk with the Minister of Finance?
I would presume they talk weekly.
But does
Yeah,
the
every
Ministry of,
Thursday.
but does the Ministry of Education, by virtue of its the edifices that they oversee, naturally get help from other ministries in terms of maintenance and things like that?
I don't know.
And MTS comes under who? Does it come under works?
But she did say that they're working with MTS to, because Mount Hope, of course, came up, and she said they at this time could not deal with that because that was a $200 million project to rebuild that school, but they're making it as quote unquote comfortable as possible for the students and teachers. This project will be signed. Is a project with MTS, and will be signed. A contract will be signed soon. So,
You know, as I said yesterday, this is the dance that we go around every single year.
Every year.
It's an annual waltz about schools finished, schools not finished, schools repaired, schools not repaired. And if any administration is serious about education, you make the funds available to make sure that our students and our young people are in schools fit for purpose. And that's the simple answer.
now let me tell you,
Rich.
I, as a teenager, used to play basketball in Mount Hope. So that school is about 35, 40 years old. And if you look at the condition of that school now in truth,
Really?
it's abysmal. There's a very accurate picture on the front page of one of the newspapers this morning that gives you a sense of what that school, it's almost derelict. Well, it's not almost, it's derelict.
Wow.
We'll see how it goes.
We'll
Yeah,
see.
and it didn't just suddenly get so. That's
No,
not
it didn't.
my fault.
No, it did not move overnight.
Please,
But you know, I did invite a few times. I'm only doing 2023. I'm not going to 2022. On the 28th of March, I asked her. On the 18th of May, I asked again. On the 1st of September.
Steve, what you wasn't listening to Richard just now?
Hold on the 18th of October, I just put it on record. 18th of October, 2023. And then we go to 20.
Don't worry. We will soon have the boss man.
20th of March.
And when the boss man come on, everybody else is come on after.
Yeah, 28th of
MTS
March,
is
and then
under
yesterday.
public utilities. All right.
Right.
How many times is that? 6 times, 5 times that have been.
Farmers were upset on Tuesday as state lands were reclaimed by UDCOT, repossessed, I should say, to prepare for phase 2 of the Diego Martin Sporting Complex, of course.
Imagine getting a lot of activity these days. All of a sudden, they have a spanking new library, or the newest borough, they have a spanking new library.
Fish
whereas
fry.
Arena is settled for little
fry.
upstairs and downstairs. previous
Roundabout, fish fry,
Yes, I am
Sporting
grousing.
Complex, phases 1, phase 2,
Health center.
Health Center,
police station.
Lots of stuff there, go Martin. Lots of stuff.
It's a borough now, you know. It's a borough now. Don't
it
forget.
must have advantage to having the Prime Minister as one of your MPs. Come on.
And the Minister of Finance.
So we have one of the most senior members of the People's National Movement.
That's right. Oh, yeah.
And the Minister of Planning.
But we interviewed, I know watching Steve, we interviewed the Minister of Education in March this year.
They indicated that the farmers were, well, UDCOT said that there were 3 occupiers and they were in negotiations, but the occupiers, farmers, were asking for exorbitant sums of 1.1 million each. One of them accepted. They were served notices by the Commissioner of State Lands. You see, once you, in a country that is not growing enough food, and I'm not saying UDCOT is wrong or right, because at the end of the day, it's state land. And because clearly they were not regularized, the land did not belong to the farmers, even if you were there 50, 100 years. I don't know what the law states, maybe Richard could identify, because my understanding is once you're there for a certain amount of years and you could apply, but the state could also reclaim land. And under the law, the state could take any land for development projects, but huge development projects. I don't know if
but there was an explanation.
That regime.
I saw an explanation for that situation at Diego Martin this morning. You know. They said it's 3 farmers and they gave them sufficient notice. And it is because of the wider development for...
But you were not listening to me before?
Huh?
You were ignoring me before I said all that.
No, actually I was on my phone. You said all that?
Yes, I did.
Okay, well, my apologies.
Pay attention. That's why you have problems in your relationships, you know. Because people
I
tell you things and you'll be on your phone and you didn't hear what they say, and then you will tell them, I didn't say that, but I didn't hear you, but I was on my phone, and you're getting trouble in the court.
Yeah, but
and then you say you're lucky in love, I ain't lucky in love, but you don't listen.
You have to have relationships to have problems, you know.
Right, but I talking about beforehand.
You do have.
Particularly when the persons in question hold rank. Listen, you need to learn to listen. I just said all of that.
Without reason, Wendell.
Yes? I just said all of that, but you're coming to repeat, and then you're to tell the poor people, I didn't hear that.
No, but this also said
but they allowed you take off that chain, I don't like it.
Then they say that too, that they allow them to reap the crops.
I understand that figs, sweet peppers, and aubergine, eggplants, fields of these crops and salsa were plowed through by a backhoe.
I refuse to believe that.
And once you, well, let me tell you something, because it happened in the last administration, it happened here.
Egypt village, I can't forget.
Once fields of crops are plowed through, it is going to end up in the bacchanal. But clearly UDCOT is acting within the law, and it will play out in newspapers because X and Y will happen. You know, I want to advise that maybe AREMA and environs gets a little more attention when it comes to elderly people, because yet another pensioner has been killed in her home.
Yeah, that's a crazy.
In what appears to be another home invasion.
Yep.
This is like the 3rd or 4th I've heard in the last 12 months alone.
Mm-hmm.
And it is heart-wrenching because clearly there are perpetrators targeting elderly people, not only in AREMA, but AREMA seems to be coming up more and more.
But Paul, you know, when we have spoken about this before, and I have said that police stations, because police officers, they like to say all police officers are community police officers. Am I right? Mm-hmm. That's what they say now. They say rather than having a community police unit, all police officers are community police officers. That's the generic sentence you get. And you, if you are a community police officer as part of your portfolio, are supposed to know where the elder citizens are and do welfare checks from time to time, or keep an eye out, or speak to other neighbors in the area.
One would imagine
that you would have some sort of community purpose in terms of looking at the security of
one would imagine.
Because I get it, the police officers can't be there can't be everywhere at the same time, naturally. But certainly, how much attention do we give to our elderly, especially those who live alone?
Yeah. I want to add to that too, Richard, because of my own experiences in where I live and so on. Because the neighborhood has to play a part to it. I mean, absolutely. I don't know how. Because let me tell you something. This morning I heard dogs barking in my neighborhood. So I have devices where I can control my lights and my cameras and so on from my phone. I got up and I put on my lights, so the whole neighborhood just get bright. You understand? And I just heard dogs barking. So I'm looking at my cameras and I put on the lights and so on. But you can't take any chance now because we have people who live here alone, in this area alone. You understand? You just can't take any chance. And
the elderly are a vulnerable group.
And not only that,
it's a vulnerable group.
And not only that, Paul, Arima has 2 sets of police.
Yeah.
They have national police and they have the Arima Borough Police. So it takes, I guess, a meeting because you're expressing concern that Arima should have a little bit more attention. So you have a mayor and an Arima Borough Council.
You do?
And a mayor who is a little elderly. And so you would think that he would feel for that age group, right? You also have a member of parliament who is elderly-ish.
Who's mature.
Yeah, getting into that era. And, that should be paying a little bit more attention, of course, you have 2 police stations, that's my point, 2 police divisions, because we are the oldest chartered borough in the Western Hemisphere.
Is that a euphemism, the oldest chartered borough?
In the Western Hemisphere, I believe, the Royal Chartered Borough of Arima.
Oh, you live in it now.
Even though looking at our library, you wouldn't know it. And looking at our roads to enter, I mean, yeah, the upgrading Omera, but could you take any longer?
But guys, you all keep talking about your Arima man. Is it that neither of you can reach out to him to have an interview to be on the show?
Richard can reach out to him. Richard,
we can talk to
Richard to run Carnival this year.
Maharaj and ask him what his plans are and what has been happening since his election to the post of mayor of Arima. I think that'll be a
Richard, you forget the conversation we had with Mayor Maharaj at Balize House today.
When I asked him at that point, what are your plans for Arima? He replied, I'm thinking of bringing back the bomb competition for Carnival. I asked, what are your plans for Arima? He said, I'm thinking of bringing back the bomb competition for Pan in Arima. I said, thank you, have a good night. That was the sum total of the conversation.
And then
maybe it wasn't the place for the kind of conversation that you'd have liked. Anyway, we got a little jovial, but really, this is a really serious situation.
No, it is serious. It is serious.
And condolences to the family of Lena Hyacinth Dankler. She was 61 years old and was recovering from a recent eye surgery.
Yeah.
That is what, and thank God her elderly mother was in the room next door, and officers who went in after the neighbors and the family couldn't reach her, so they called the police. Found the mother unharmed in a room next door. What is even more tragic about this story, and I hate to call it a story because it's a person's life and she has a family, is that she was found lying on the floor. Those who squeamish, I'm going to say something really horrible. With a pillow over her face and a sheet partially covering her body, and there was blood found near her genital region.
Yeah, she appeared to have been raped.
Assaulted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, 61 years old. I mean, really.
Yeah, that's how you upset me.
Really. This is the actress Vicky Richards, and then the person after her, and then the person before her, all over 60.
Yes.
Remember there was one in Santa
And
Rosa.
all female, you realize that, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Remember there was one in Santa Rosa. Well, Santa Rosa, I think, was the Vicky.
Yeah. But all the targeting elderly females, this perpetrator or these perpetrators. Come on.
Yeah. Well, maybe the TGPS is having a news conference today to address it.
You know, and what when they showed you that home last night, I didn't observe any cameras. I'm not sure that she had cameras on that home.
But
that was the first thing I looked for.
And that would be a great asset. But in many cases, these particularly elderly people, the senior citizens, may not be in a position to afford cameras systems for their home because
it's true. And these perpetrators going around looking for that too, eh? They're going around looking for homes.
Yeah, they look and see what houses have cameras and they avoid those for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
There's something we can open the phone lines, 222 talk, etc. This is something I've been talking about for the last 4 years in Parliament. And a new United Nations report, I actually downloaded it this morning. The name of the report, and I spoke about this for the last 4 years, and I said we need to be on the lookout for this. We need to be on the lookout for this. Even before COVID, when we had the unrest in Venezuela and people were coming here because of the instability, I said not only innocent people are coming, gang members are coming too. Well, United Nations has published a report as at September 2nd called Caribbean Gangs, Drugs, Firearms, and Gang Networks in Jamaica, St. Lucia, Guyana, and Trinidad and Tobago, and have now officially identified Venezuelan criminal gangs as participating in serious crime in Trinidad and Tobago, both in competition and collaboration with local gangs. They said that the TT Coast Guard struggles to screen maritime traffic. They said they are that the report identified TNT had the highest number of Venezuelan migrants in the world, according to this report, and TNT has taken in 60,000 Venezuelans since 2015.
You mean per capita?
Exceeding the 16,523 legally registered. And I presume, according to some experts, that 60,000 is a conservative estimate. I saw an interview early last week. I'm trying to figure out remember the name of the gang that the person identified. Where is it? It's some Arango gang, one of the most notorious gangs that the U.S. authorities have identified, is one of the most dangerous gangs in the Western Hemisphere now.
Well, it's spread throughout South America.
South America, Central America, and they've started to infiltrate Miami. And one can logically presume.
And they showed you, somebody sent me a video from them in Colorado.
Yeah.
Taking over an apartment building in Colorado and going from room to room, apartment to apartment.
I forget, why is it not coming up?
A gang moving about unchallenged?
The gang has been listed as one of the most dangerous threats by the U.S. agencies.
Right? It is considered, yeah. They have ramped it up. Yeah. So you said something there, Paul. So that UN report is obviously saying that and you could correct me if I'm wrong, they're obviously saying that our Coast Guard division is not well equipped enough.
Well, they said it's struggling, which could mean it's not well equipped in addition to it being incapable, challenged in different ways. So generally, yes, I think you're on point. So
the Ministry of National Security needs to address that issue and assertion of the United Nations with regard to that.
Well, if the U.S. authorities, who are a close ally in terms of security issues in the region with Trinidad and Tobago, have made that declaration about that gang, why are the names not coming to me? One would imagine that it's already been a point of conversation between the minister or ministers of national security, the head of the National Security Council, the U.S. ambassador in Trinidad and Tobago.
The U.S. can't stop gangs in U.S. They're going to stop it here?
Well, I'm not saying that, but they have to try.
I agree they have to try. We have to try our own.
But I'm surprised that we haven't taken more definitive steps given the fact that this is something that the clarion horn has been sounded for so long to look out for.
You ever go?
Venezuelan gang named Polish Tren de Aragua.
Tren de Aragua. That's the name of the gang.
Tren de Aragua, and it's now affecting virtually all countries in South America.
Yeah,
there's an upsurge in that because they have spread because Venezuela has become basically a collapsed state in a lot of ways that has now morphed this gang into a kind of powerhouse in terms of attracting members, etc., etc.
This is the typology of crimes like that what we saw recently, where they have no regard for children, and bodies are being dug up and burnt. Is typical of the modus operandi of these types of gangs. You're seeing some things in Trinidad and Tobago, beheadings. You're seeing bodies turning up without heads.
Yeah, when a couple of weeks ago in Pinal, they dug up a
very typical of the operation of these South and Central American gangs.
We have had beheadings for a while. They're new to us.
Yeah.
The burning of the body, we had one in Grandy recently.
Yeah. Let's take some calls, gentlemen. We have lots of calls coming through, so let's grab them. Good morning. Good morning.
Gentlemen, morning. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning, Captain Ron.
All right, listen, I'm happy that you guys brought this thing up this morning because yesterday evening I was looking at the man with the fancy glasses. And, it reminded me of last week when I was trying to make a point. That's why I had to hang up the phone, because when I'm talking to people who are not listening and just trying to sound good in the radio, it doesn't make sense. This is why I said we need help. Trinidad needs help. We need to approach this thing from a different angle. We need to get help. We need to, points as well, give everybody a gun. That takes time. That takes too much time. And then not everybody is strong enough to pick up a gun and fire somebody at another human being. Then a lot of people don't have what it takes to buy a gun, so they're expensive. They don't know how to hide it. When criminals know that you have a gun. Listen, I never told you all this, but I'm also a counselor at the prison here. I do that 3 times a month. I talk with these people, and some of them reveal to me that their thinking is that if they believe there's something that they want in the house, they will do everything to get in there and get it. All right? So the thing is, they need what they can do right now. People are dying. How many more people have to die before something is done? Look at those ladies that died. It's sad to watch it on TV. What they need to do is get help. Put a curfew on, get help. You talk about corruption and cops. Well, okay, I was telling Mr. Wendell the other day, just look at that movie they made out of a true story with Elliot Ness, The Untouchables.
Yeah.
What he did, he got a few good cops by giving them lie detector tests. That's how you root them out. Give them lie detector tests. And you work with those bunch there. You don't need a whole army. You just need a few, and then you take it from there.
Yeah.
You need outside help badly. How many more people have to die before the Prime Minister or Security Minister, which I think that Security Minister is a joke, telling the truth. That's my opinion. I think they need to do something now. How many more people have to die? How many people are going to die tonight? These vulnerable people, these are people law-abiding citizens all their lives. And they have to put up with this. Giving everybody a gun doesn't solve a problem. Doesn't solve a problem. Corrupt cops can be dealt with. We can fight. It's a war. So we have to declare war on all of them, from the cops, from the people in administration of the country, in authorities. Declare war on all of them and root everybody out from top to bottom. Let's clean up the country.
We need an equalizer like Denzel Washington. That's what we need in this place.
Correct. The type of killings that's been going on for the last few months, they're not regular Trinidad killings. The kind of gruesome killings we've been hearing. It's not just people from Trinidad. Trust me on that one. All right, gentlemen, good morning.
All right, thank you, Captain Roy. I know
Equalizer
all my so
and
It is
beekeeper.
46. Richard, do you have newspapers?
Yes, I do.
Could
You see
share-
those two
would you like to
movies?
share them with us?
Equalizer and Beekeeper. That's what we need in
a
Trinidad.
beekeeper.
All right, so I will start with the news day for today.
Wendell, the question is on you this morning, Paul, sorry.
Today is Wednesday, September 4th.
I like the story you sent for me, so that is the poll self.
What? Cabinet reshuffle?
No, NTA again. Let me get Gary some pops this morning.
All right, go ahead, Rich. Let's do it quickly.
Wednesday, September 4th, that's the day today. The news day for today, front page. UN report, drug trafficking up, seizures down as Venezuela gangs muscle in on TNT's crime. Not enough dollars to fix schools, that's a sub-headline. The main picture is of some boys buying snow cones outside the San Fernando General Secondary School, San Fernando Central Secondary School on Todd Street. Farmers booted off state lands in Dago, and on page 15 in the Newsday, there is a wonderful ad for a show coming on this weekend called Lotto Madness. And on the back page of the Newsday, TNT Under-17 cricket captain, title heals 2023 wounds, redemption is the headline on the back page. And Olympic champ Alfred booked for Zurich meet. On to the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for today. Front page, I'll give you the main story. $5 billion not enough. Education minister, budget allocation can't cover all expenses. Woman 61 stifled to death in home invasion. Of course, this is the homicide region 2. It happened at John Shaw Avenue in Arima, home of pensioner Lena Heinsohn and Claire. Say that again?
I said that's a very quiet part of Arima.
Yeah, it is. So that's the front page. Gary opens door for reconciliation with Kamla. And on the back page of The Guardian, Coach King eyes positive result.
Was that headline you read just before Coach King there, Richard?
$5 billion, not enough.
No, not that.
Education minister.
Not that.
Woman 61 stifled to death in home invasion.
No, not that.
Gary
How long for there for there?
Gary opened the door for reconciliation with
that. We're gonna pull that today.
Yeah. And the Daily Express for today. Front page. Money is the problem. Gatsby Dolly admits inadequate school repair.
That's why the initial poll should be rendered. I have a poll on that.
Education ministry experiencing severe cash flow issues.
The big story is the education ministry this morning.
So
not really. Yeah. No. Every year we go through this.
All right, let's finish up the headlines quickly.
Princestown School on shift system for 10 years. Crime surge after Brasso station closes and woman 61 found dead in Arima. They live so much and contribute so much of their life to society. And that's where you end. Yeah. And that doesn't, anyway. Uproar at market. Sando vendors workers protest after woman stabbed. And on the back page in the Daily Express Sport, triumphant under-17 boys cricket coach admits much work to do. That's it for our 3 dailies this morning. It's not pleasant news at all. And it's, horrific news all around.
All right. So the results of our morning poll from yesterday, where we asked you, do you think the Ministry of Education is effective at school repairs? That was our poll yesterday.
See, we did it yesterday, Paul.
5%, 85% said no. All right. Let's get into today's poll.
Yeah, and of course it comes from a story in CNC3 that National Transformation Alliance leader Gary Griffith says there is room for reconciliation between his party and the UNC. What a surprise. And is that, please don't leave me. Okay, no, that's not part of the story.
Can you give us the poll, please?
Do you believe there's room for reconciliation between the NTA and the UNC? Do you believe they will reconcile? Yes or no?
I can answer that right
What
now.
is the poll?
That's it. Do you believe there's room for reconciliation between the UNC and the NTA?
All right, that's our poll. 222-8255. Toll-free North Americans, 866-525-1099. On WhatsApp at 318-1021. Of course, on Facebook and on YouTube, we'll get those messages. All right. So we have
a sure spell reconciliation room.
Yeah, he's he's begging. Yes. All right. Thank you so much. Good morning. Let's see.
No, you still have it wrong.
Good morning to Chris Touset celebrating his birthday. Happy birthday to you, Chris. And it comes from your parents.
Whose birthday is it?
Chris Touset.
Oh,
Leonard and Angela, they called me this morning. They tried to tell you happy birthday. So happy birthday, Chris.
Happy birthday. But wait, I missed a call from Lennox too, you know?
Yeah, that was it. All right. Let's see.
Apologies.
I'll put your name next to your WhatsApp, so I'll say it. So I got somebody saying yes. Val says no. HGB says yes. Good morning, Anthony from Toronto. Captain Ron says yes. Black Pearl, yes. Thank you. Cascade St. Anne says no. Let's see. John Cato says yes. Kazim Mohammed says no. Anthony Miguel says no. Ian Lee says yes. Alana Simmons says yes. What says you, caller?
Hi, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
You know what I would like to know with our elderly, if they don't have relatives who, come and look at them, have somebody with them at their home, pay somebody to stay with them, because, staying alone is so dangerous, right? And it's really hard for me.
Yeah, but some people don't want anybody with them, eh? And it was because of a relative.
All right, thank you.
Not
so
hearing
you
from them.
Because
of a relative.
Yes or no?
Yeah, some of them difficult to deal with, some of our elderly, right? But at the same time, you have to determine with them that you can't stay alone with this, especially what's taking place now with this crime is real hard for them. And with the Venezuelans and them.
Okay, we're doing the poll, so quickly.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
So, yes or no?
Yeah. What's the poll? I didn't hear it properly.
Do you believe there's room for reconciliation between the UNC and NTA?
No.
All right, thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. They will try anything to move Dr. Rowley, yes.
All right, thank you.
So do you believe there's room for reconciliation between the UNC and NTA? That's our poll this morning. 222-8255.
DL says yes. Wayne Bennett says yes. Anthony from Toronto. Okay, he didn't vote. Okay. All right. So do you believe there is room for a reconciliation between the UNC and NTA? Alana Simmons. Yes. Wayne Bennett. Yes. Thank you, Chris. And yes, Chris Touset says yes to the poll. Have a great day, Chris. All the best to you. Somebody says no. Morning, Lorna, Indy, Kali. Yes. Donna Clark says yes. Slick Money Grip says yes. Mogin says yes. Finbar Collins says no. 222-8255. Vincent in Birmingham, UK says yes. That's on WhatsApp at 318-1021. Oscar Daniel says yes. Michael Oliver says yes.
TJ was the one who had sent me the information and the video concerning that Venezuelan gang in Colorado.
Yeah, she did.
It was a news item. It was a news item.
She did send it to me then.
Yeah.
Oh, send it for me, Rich.
I might have deleted that already. I don't keep videos.
Oh, okay.
I'll send it in the power.
All right. Do you believe there's room for reconciliation between the UNC and NTA?
Once I see videos go past 2 minutes, something I get bored. I don't watch videos.
After a minute, I bored.
Yeah,
I know what you're saying.
Once I see a video, somebody send me a video 6 minutes long.
Yeah, they lose me long time. Anthony in Toronto says yes.
Isn't
Hey, Paul, behave. Paul, behave.
No. I know probably here 2 minutes is your sweet spot. So
exactly.
He says yes.
After that, you either watch the video with me then, or you watch it when I'm watching it again.
All right, so call us.
That's done with 2 minutes.
Call us. Do you believe there's room for reconciliation between the UNC and NTA? Yes or no?
I see somebody call the ex-boyfriend the 5-truck champion on social media last week. You are the 5-truck champion as well, if you.
Let me send you this video now.
Social media is the devil, yes.
Let me send you this video now.
Maduro accused the U.S. government of piracy for taking the plane. There's pirates.
Pirates, any country.
Trying to justify piracy. The seas the plane.
Julia S. Batiste, do you believe there's room for reconciliation between the UNC and NTA? Yes or no? 222-8255. Toll free. For North Americans, 866-525-1099 on WhatsApp at 318-1021, of course, on Facebook and on YouTube.
What?
Do you believe there's room for reconciliation between the UNC and NTA? Yes or no?
I don't know if I'm afraid you.
You can put it. You can put it up for people.
Oh boy.
I sent it in the Power Breakfast group too.
Jaron. Morning, Jaron says yes. Thank you, Jaron. As we head towards our 7 o'clock major news, Evie should be walking shortly.
You watch it, it's literally a 8-second video.
Like you, typically the video taking long to open.
Oh gosh. It's 8 seconds long.
We're taking votes on the poll. As we head towards 7 a.m., you're like a minute away. Do you believe there is room for reconciliation between the UNC and NTA?
I don't know why.
8255 North Americans, 866-525-1099. People on all the streaming platforms, you can send your votes via the messaging portals there. And of course, if you're watching us on M&E TV and listening to us on smart devices, WhatsApp us at 318-1021. Put the 868 code if you need to.
I don't know why they're messing with people. So, we know they're going to come together. I mean, and you're cussing one day, you're saying the door the next day. And the next day, you're cussing, and then the next day. Oh Lord, human beings, huh? Jeez.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, let's get into our major news on this 4th day of September. Evie is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
A UN report says Venezuelan criminal gangs are participating in serious crime in TNT, both in competition and collaboration. The education minister says there's a lack of sufficient funding for school repairs. Meanwhile, the education minister has also said government is unable to build a new school for the students of Mount Hope Secondary. A 61-year-old pensioner is found dead in her house following an alleged home invasion, and Venezuela denounces U.S. piracy after presidential jet confiscated. Details in a moment. This is news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sindel Bab. Good morning. A new UN report publicized on September 2nd, titled Criminal or Caribbean Gangs, Drugs, Firearms, and Gangs Networks in Jamaica, St. Lucia, Guyana, and TNT, states that Venezuelan criminal gangs are participating in serious crime in Trinidad and Tobago, both in competition and collaboration with local gangs. The report revealed that Venezuelan criminals are engaging in extortion, human trafficking, and the smuggling of illegal drugs and guns. The report said TNT had a thriving drug trade, serving as a major transit point for cocaine and cannabis, and that the country is well regarded by organized crime networks owing to its location just 11 kilometers from Venezuela and its position outside of the hurricane belt, which allows for year-round trafficking. The report also disclosed that strong cultural ties in southern Trinidad with Venezuela have ensured that the coastal region, including Icacos, Cedros, and Moruga, are sites of extensive trafficking of drugs, guns, and migrants. The report added that the TNT Coast Guard struggles to screen maritime traffic, and its interdiction rates are also undermined by its limited cooperation with its Venezuelan counterpart, the Guardia Nacional. The primary supply route for drugs to TNT is Venezuela, and to a lesser extent Guyana and Suriname, with drugs traveling by commercial freight, private go-fast boats, and fishing vessels. Education Minister Dr. Nyan Gatsby-Dolly says that despite the fact that $5 billion has been allocated to the Education Ministry, the challenges schools in Trinidad and Tobago face with repairs may stem from a lack of sufficient funding. The minister defended the lack of readiness of some schools for the new academic year on Monday. She said $150 million is allocated for school repairs from the $5 billion given to the Education Ministry from the national budget, according to the minister. However, Minister Gatsby-Dolly explained the amount dedicated towards repairs is not adequate. She gave details on how spending is done while being interviewed during an interview on I-95.5 FM on Tuesday. Most of the money, it was revealed, goes towards covering recurrent expenditure at various tertiary institutions, salaries for teachers and staff at the ministry. Meanwhile, the Education Minister also said government is unable to build a new school for students of Mount Hope Secondary. In the interim, however, she says they will continue to make repairs to the existing structure so they can make it more affordable for students and teachers. In the wake of a protest over conditions at the school by the PTA on Monday, the minister admitted it was one of the schools carted for a new building. Minister Gatsby-Dolly said a lot of work has been done on the school and it will continue to need work because it's an old school. She said the cost for the new school is over $200 million. The minister explained that the government decided not to invest that $200 million on that school project at this time, and that as recently as early this year or late last year, the railings in that school were repaired. She also added the school continuously gets work, but right now it needs some emphasis on electrical work, etc., and that is part of what is scheduled for the school. A 61-year-old pensioner who was recovering from eye surgery was found dead at her Arima house following an alleged home invasion on Monday. The body of Leela Hyacinth Danklar was discovered in her ransacked bedroom by police officers who responded to a call from relatives who were unable to reach her after she missed a doctor's appointment. She was found lying on the floor with a pillow over her face and a sheet partially covering her body. No apparent marks of violence were seen about the body except for blood found smeared around her genital region. Danklar's 90-year-old mother, who suffers from advanced dementia and also lives in the house located at John Shaw Avenue, was found unharmed in another bedroom. Sergeant Kevin Ashing of the Court and Process Branch in Port of Spain, who lives nearby, was contacted by Danklar's relative on Monday evening after calls to her cell phone went unanswered. Danklar underwent eye surgery at the Couva Hospital on Sunday, following which she returned home to recuperate. The female relative reportedly visited Danklar at least twice daily to drop off food and other supplies for her and her mother. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Venezuela accused Washington of piracy after a jet used by Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro was reportedly seized in the Dominican Republic and transferred to Florida. On Monday, the U.S. government confiscated the Dassault Falcon 900EX used by Maduro on official trips on the grounds that its purchase violates a Trump-era executive order that bars U.S. persons from business transactions with Venezuelan government representatives. The Maduro government reacted by condemning what it describes as recurring criminal practices from the U.S. U.S. officials allege the plane was illegally purchased by associates for US $13 million through a shell company in late 2022 and smuggled from the US to Venezuela via the Caribbean. CNN is following the story.
More now, we're joined by Brett Bruin, president of the Global Situation Room, a private consulting firm focusing on crisis management and international security. Before that, he held senior positions on the National Security Council and at the U.S. State Department.
Well, it's all about the timing. And quite frankly, the Biden administration has been looking for ways, symbolic as well as some significant ways, that they can send a message to Caracas. And by taking Maduro's plane, I think they have achieved a small modicum of that message.
Finally, here's your weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, predominantly hot and sunny conditions. There's a low chance of the isolated afternoon heavy shower or thunderstorms favoring western and hilly areas of Trinidad. Tonight would be mostly fair. Gusty winds and street or flash flooding may occur near heavy showers and thunderstorms. You can expect a temperature high of 34 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 32 degrees Celsius at Crown Point, Tobago. It is 26 degrees Celsius at Piarco and 28 degrees Celsius at Crown Point. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, a UN report says Venezuelan criminal gangs are participating in serious crime in Trinidad and Tobago, both in competition and collaboration. The education minister says there's a lack of sufficient funding for school repairs. Meanwhile, the education minister said government is unable to build a new school for students of Mount Hope Secondary. A 61-year-old pensioner is found dead in a house following an alleged home invasion, and Venezuela denounces U.S. piracy after presidential jet confiscated. I'm Avril Sindhill-Bab. That was news at 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon today and an update at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you, Avril, for our major news. You could join her again at 8 o'clock this morning for our news brief, and then at noon today for major news again alongside Sir Charles. Traffic-wise, San Fernando, you're lighter than yesterday, but you got traffic from Claxton Bay, just before Claxton Bay, heading straight to the interchange. Maloney, the Port of Spain, Eastern Maynard, same thing. Dago, Maraval, school open for sure. All right, so we're back. Let's see if we have any more votes on our morning poll where we asked you, do you believe there's room for reconciliation between UNC and NTA? Let's see. Miss Ingrid says yes to the poll. Michael Robinson says yes. And that's it.
All right, so our poll this morning is, do you believe there is room for reconciliation between the UNC and NTA? We had 32 people voting on the poll this morning, and of the 32 people, 24 said yes, and 8 said no. So 24 people said yes, 8 people said no. So, of course, the yeas have it this morning. Of course, you can continue to vote on the poll throughout the day and through all programming. And we'll give you the final result tomorrow morning, which will be Thursday. We're ready at the weekend, believe it or not.
When next are we speaking with Gary?
We'll probably have him on next week or something.
Yeah, I want to ask him some questions. Questions.
Yeah. And of course, if you're questioning what's on with theater this weekend, it's Lotto Madness on Saturday at 8:30 and Sunday at 6:30. Of course, the ad is in the Newsday today on page 15, which has all of the information, a ginormous ad, on page 15 of the Newsday. Of course, you can get tickets at the Queen's Hall box office from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. Tickets are also available at K Squared Fashions West Mall, K Squared Fashion Eastgate, and K Squared Fashions in Brentwood Mall in Chagonas, and as well as Electronics Arima, Jabili Rawe in Tunapuna, Charflair Auto Services in, of course, Charflair, and Tony's Florals in Val Park Shopping Plaza. Those are all of your outlet locations where you can get tickets. And of course, you can also purchase them online. You can check RSRR Productions Theatre on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok for more information. Of course, Facebook gives you more of the information with regard to how to purchase online.
All right. Port of Spain Town Hall. I'm not sure, I'm not sure if you can pay the rates at City Hall, the property tax at City Hall. I'm not sure. I'll find that out for you today. But some people, the officials at City Hall, the officials at Port of Spain Corporation listening now. If
they have paid the revenue officers, and well, I don't think they've opened the online portal as yet. Well, God help us if they get. If they got, you remember last time we spoke to Brian Morning, he said shortly. But shortly in Trinidad, Trinidad politicians talk could be anywhere from 2 months to 5 years. Well, for local government reform, decades. So, so you never know what shortly means.
That's not happening.
And it's preposterous that you're asking hundreds of thousands of homeowners to go to a few district revenue offices to pay property tax.
Yep.
If that is not an indictment on the Ministry of Digitization, I don't know what the hell is.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
All right. Well, gentlemen, we haven't spoken to this individual in years. So let me introduce this young man to the show, Mr. William Monroe. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Steve, and the other hosts, all that is there. Blessing to you all. A wonderful morning to you all.
We have Richard, which you know. You have Wendell, and of course, we have Paul Richards.
Good morning, Mr. Monroe.
Right. Paul Richards. We'll go back to this 96 one.
No, I wasn't born yet.
Someone will make you out of that, Paul.
You meant the radio station, Steve.
Good morning, Mr. Monroe. Thanks for joining us.
And
on
God
the
bless you all. God bless you all.
Thank you so much.
And the people of Trinidad and Tobago who are listening, God bless them to you all, to cover you all with the blood of the Lamb. Bless you.
All right.
Yes.
So your name, Colin.
Yeah, we're doing a follow-up interview, Mr. Monroe, on the issue of the Movie Tongue area. And what part would you have played in developing that particular area way back in the day?
Well, in truth and in fact, that piece of land, the history of that will take some time to explain. But let me tell you, you all know, probably didn't born there, that whole area was swamp, the mangrove land. And when I passed by around some years ago, and I saw the land, the mangrove, and so I said, but that is next door to the stadium, and how those people don't have vision to develop there. So then I find out who was the owner then, who was responsible for that. It was the Port Authority, and I went to them, I wrote them, I speak to them, and I asked to lease me a portion of the land, and which they give me, they legally lease me 5 acres, and they had rent me another 5, so it's like 10 acres down there, And I started developing, and those days, and work was so difficult for people to get, and I had a lot of people working and things like that. And start to develop, I had the late Don Ramdeen, his brother, that is Eon, we had a fleet that the flying fish. Then the Pillai family, Pillai, that is Michael, great family, and they assisted me, and they all, it's dozens of trucks, and we start working there. Then the government, somewhere along the line, I got an injunction. That time it was the NAR government. They filed an injunction, just so, after I paid them, I spent a lot of money. But we struggled and fight. We had demonstration in the city and all kind of things like that. And eventually they took it to Parliament. And I got it legally from the then President Hassan Ali, the late Hassan Ali. He signed the cadastral sheet and everything, and I got my place. And then when I got my place, then we started work. Then I had my right-hand man with me there was my Nunez, still my friend. And we started this development of the mangrove there. And I'm talking about thousands and thousands of truckload of developing material and toting and fix. And when the people of Trinidad and Tobago and I say Molly Gaskin, that is from Wildfall, she was in something in connection with the Wildfall Trust, and the political analyst, that is Ralph Marad. They saw the beauty that's coming out of that land. He came there and with he had a program they used to call Cross Country. I don't know if you ever heard about that, Cross Country. Yes. And start to broadcast, what happened down here with this Grenadian. I mean, I'm quoting it out. They say that which was done. This Grenadian man come from Grenada, and I mean, so you all don't know if you all don't fuck him. You won't get no fish and nothing to eat. That is the mangrove that feed the fish and to take care of it. That is hard to say. That time we spend millions of dollars down there in developing, and then I went to Florida, sent to Adama. I was trying, it was a cultural setting I was put in there. So I went to Florida. I went on a tent. I don't know if anybody remember this massive tent, the biggest tent the Caribbean ever seen. It cost me over $1 million. Come down there, put it up because of the name of the tent is still Kingdom of the Wizards and so. And I developed the place, fence up. I mean, we're talking about spending money, millions of dollars, and beautify the place and put wall and the front of it, plant the lawn and the grass. Oh, beauty. I mean, a lot of people could ring in and who remember that. They know the place, we call it the Mecca, and wonderfully done. And when the people start to see that, I don't know, well, the power that maybe who wanted them more than I do, and started to terrorize me. And on Saturday, I home. Someone tell me, but Manu, look you home and you don't know what's happening down there. I say, man, what's happening by your property? You say, you can't go there. I say, I can't go there. When I rushed down there, I couldn't go there. It's police and gun and containers, and they took all my material, all the sound system, the tent, everything, and police and take over the place, Just so. I said, well, what madness is this? And then you hear the talk that if you try to sue us, you wouldn't live. That's the kind of talk. To see the end of that case and all kind of nonsense. They say, it's best you come and settle with us and come let us put you in the back. You remember a place they called it, he was speaking about that same place where he say the Mecca, not the Mecca now, Spectrum. Mm-hmm. They take my land from you, all the land, and where I spend millions at the time, we spent about $8 to $9 million in the back, and put me there and say, I think they give some $50,000, something like that, and say, take it or leave it. And then again, I'm a visionary, I take it, and I start to develop and pave and build a shed myself and Mr. Pelai and all the people who are there who working with me and who developing with me. Every day we get a letter to break down that shed. And they say no road, no nothing for us. We can't build nothing. So they come and they put me in prison then. I said, but what's going on here? And then I don't know what they conspire to do, but then they say Mr. Chin there now, what do you call him? Derek Chin, or something, who conspired with them and the port, and they send him to me. Because I couldn't do nothing down there. Because we used to have a little party and thing, and that was police and harass, anything happened in Pity Valley, Diego Martin, anything they say, it happened at the Spectrum. They give it a bad name and everything. So it's come like, you couldn't do anything. So when he came to me, he said, oh Lord, Mr. Monroe, I see, oh Lord, this place that you cannot get no approval for nothing. Well, this is a waste of time. What do you want to do here? I mean, why don't you take a little change for me, let me buy that from you, and because what I want to do here we want to play a little golf, you know, mini golf, little children playing little golf and thing in the back here, you know, and like, so they make you make me feel there is a little something and we will invite you and things like that if you want to play a little golf, you know, to pot and thing. But I don't know anything about golf, but that's what he's telling me. And I said, well, if it is so, all right. And I think after all these millions we spend, I think that we get what he paid. I said, well, okay, no problem. I mean, serious. And I give him for 1 point something, right? And then it was a conspiracy with them and the port. And when he get it from me, then they take him and put him where they remove me from. And because that was the plan originally when they see the development of the land. And that is when you do ugliness does follow you. And that is exactly how he come and get the whole area there, and they give him light, they give him road, they give him all what he need and everything. And he never wanted to say thank you, Mr. Monroe. I'm sorry how I handled this and that. Nothing. And for that matter, I never go down there for 20 years because it was hurtful when I see what was done, and I say that could have only happened. I mean, two things they were saying, this Grenadian, and although I spent all my life in Trinidad, I came here at the age of 17 and things like that, all my life in Trinidad, and all the things that I try to do with the help of God, it was positive thing. I try to develop the calypso, thing with the soca. I do things with King of Kings. I did everybody, you know, the things I sponsor, steel band, calypso, so everything, netball, cricket, and everything. I always try to do positive things. And I find it was so unfair. And then even when the PNM, well, you know, PNM was always, but after now was PNM again, and then Joan Williams, and she's still alive. And I went to tell her about the problem that I faced, how it happened down there. She said they would look into it. But look into it and nothing. And then that is just so it just come and vanish, you know. And they set up, as you see what happened, they set up a whole city down there. And that is what, in the end, when you do ugliness and trickery and things like that, these things that happen, what you see going on there, that is what's going on there. Problem.
So, Mr. Monroe, let's just to recap a little bit. You are a legitimate lease from the Port Authority.
100% signed by the president.
Right. That lease is what you sold over to Mr. Chin. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. When they give me in the back, when they move me.
Right. Right.
They move
you would have sold that lease to Mr. Chin.
Yes. Where I developed.
Mm-hmm. Right. So the area.
I talk about brutally, not with guns and things. And at the time, the knowledge that I have now, I hadn't that knowledge then, as things would have been completely different.
Right. So I was about to ask that too. So would you have been receiving communication from them at the point in time to move, which is why they moved in with the, as you say, guns and police and so on?
You don't understand. It's just a brutal, cruel act. And that's going to only happen, I mean, because they feel I had no protection and no help. And I've been serious. It was very ugly. But I mean, people speak about that. And even your program, they wanted to on all the radio stations in Trinidad and Tobago speak about that. And they find it was so unfair and different things like that. Because I had the late Alvin Dorset already draw the plan for the auditorium and I mean like the grandstand, because the entertainment, I say, when I want the song when the people, you know, because when they had this noise pollution come up, at the time it was not around, but I knew it was coming. And I still let me make sure that when the song blow, it will go out to the sea and not prevent the people in the Woodbrook area and things like that, you know. It would have been much easy that they would not have so much noise, pollution and things like that. But that is how it went. That is how it went.
You signed over your lease for an agreed sum, or the remainder of your lease to an agreed sum to Mr. Chin.
Yeah, to do what I explain what I'm saying. How they explain it to me when they come to me in the back day. Number one, I tell you, I mean, it was a whole setup. That's what I'm trying to understand. It's a whole. Want you to understand it was a setup, and that is why you have smart, that the lawyer smart, and his sister, she was working at Tongue and Country Planning. All of them was in the group. And that's why they sending a letter every day. I built a little shed in the back where they put me by the Mecca there. And who remember that? They remember that little shed. Every day I get in a letter to destroy it, move it, break it down. And nothing so it was like a mummy. I just stand up there. It was nothing. It was no useful to me then. They just blocked me out.
Yeah. Because Mr. Chin, when we interviewed Mr. Chin on Monday, if I'm not mistaken, Richard, you could correct me if I'm wrong, or Steve or Paul, he had indicated that the area that you occupied is now the area that is a huge car park with a lot of foreign used cars and so on.
No,
right?
but that's what I'm telling you. That is what he didn't put no use. I pave all in the back when they give me the last piece in the back. And then when he gets it from me, that's when they set up, that's what I'm telling you, it was a whole setup to put him back in my original spot where I developed and spent all my money and develop. And that is what he got, along with the section in the back that I developed too, both of them.
Okay.
Yeah. No, my place was value millions and millions and millions of dollars, but at the time, for me, I was frightened too, to be frank, when I see all them gun and all them kind of thing. And let me tell you, up to this day, I never get back my material, my tent, my nothing. They take everything in containers, never get it back. And you know what? One of them in the port said, boy, I went through things in this country that I could write a book. If I write a book, people wouldn't believe. They say that Mono come and steal the container from the port. Yes, all those kind of things like that.
It's the port people, it's the port authority that came with the big guns and stuff to move you then.
Yeah, well, yes, that's the port police, legal police, all kind of police was down there that Saturday. Never forget that. It was a terrible sight.
So didn't you have competent lawyers at the time, Mr. Monroe, to guide you through that process?
No, I hadn't. That's what the knowledge that I had now, what I developed and change, develop myself. I didn't have that knowledge at that time. I didn't know. I was just working just like how I did with Spectacular. Not say what I call it. It was not Spectacular. It's Kingdom of the Wizard, and Spectacular had rented for me. That's on Henry Street, and I developed there, also. It was old building there. I bought one from Hinking, one from Joseph Charles, and two from Fernandez, 111, 113, 115, and 117 to break it down to build up the Kingdom of the Wizard, the big building there that they call Spectacular Forum. They had rent that for me. Yeah. Okay. But Chin, how you call him, he was not straight and honest, I could tell him that. And trick, and that is what's going on now with, he didn't want to pay tax, he didn't want to pay this, he didn't want to pay that. Everything is on the hand and cookery thing. And it's real. That is it. And
no, we don't want to get into Mr. Chin and his character on this show. But it's good to hear. It's good to hear from you about the history.
I would like to ensure that we will not be allowing the word crookery and underhandedness to be said in relation to anyone without evidence.
Okay, well, I don't know what not. But they cook me.
Well,
I'm not saying
and that's your perspective, but we're not allowing anyone to be accused of crookery and underhandedness. Please.
Yeah, all right. We should avoid the slurs on anyone's character.
I'm not interfering with his character, but that's what he did to me. Well, I don't understand. That was done to you. How do you call that? Smoothness? Honesty?
But again, there would have been legal options available to you at the time that you said because of your knowledge at the time you didn't explore.
From the beginning, I'm telling you, among the threats and different things I got, I must get frightened that I had no background, no nothing, nobody to protect me.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yes.
So when you say that, don't mention the word on the hand. So how you call it? On top the hand? I don't know how you call that, but that was not an honest act that was done to me down there at all. And thousands of people remember that, and if you open your line, I'm sure you'll get called and people will tell you they call and that they speak about that. Everybody know that.
I remember those days. I mean, I was a boy, but I remember because that's where we used to go on. That's where we used to go and catch crab as young people from St. James.
I thought you didn't born yet. You're looking so young. I thought you didn't born yet.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. All right. Well,
but that was not nice down there at all. What they did to me down there, it was not nice. And the people, like, as I say, Mr. Peli and his family and the late Don Ramdeen and his brother, Ian, and he had Flying Fleet, all the trucks. You know how many trucks and things they had trailers to go ball. We work hard down there, and then to do it like that just because they see a black man developing something and they ask where he's from Grenada, you can't be serious. And so on. That is it. That's how it goes. I went through a lot of problems in Trinidad, to be honest with you, real problems. That's, you know, and everything I try to develop and think problem come, they always face you with problem, like in Henry Street, as you know, all that property there, I lost all of that. With all of that, I mean, look, I want that next story by itself. But I just telling you that is exactly what happened down by the Mecca there, and that is how it end up with them on me and whatsoever it is. But it was a very ugly act that took place down there. Not a fair act at all. And speaking nice, and you know what he said, oh yeah, when the time comes, you want to come and practice a little golf and little thing and thing like that. And you ever ask him one day when you speak to him, if one day when they make all the changes and take all my place to the front where I had and developed, if you ever invite Monroe one day, call Monroe after one day and say, Mr. Monroe, you have done so, oh boy, look, I mean, look, sorry, but you lost the place and so, and we here and we developing now and so. Thank you for the knowledge, the idea, the creativity that you come down there with. Nothing they didn't care about that. Is that they love advantage.
Yeah. All right, well, Mr. Monroe, thanks for the historical perspective on that
and
area.
God bless you, and God bless you and the whole team out there, and God bless Trinidad and Tobago. God bless you all. God bless you all. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. William Monroe, for being with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Take care.
You know, what's Mr. Monroe's age now? I didn't even ask him.
Oh, well, he's gone. So,
because I mean, I remember a lot of what he just said in terms of the standoff down there. Because I remember attending a reggae concert there, a huge reggae concert, on that same paved area some years ago. I remember that. It was called Spectrum. I think that was the name of the place, Spectrum. And there was a huge reggae concert down there. I just remember all the bottles and all the weed. And Lord knows I ingested weed for so in my life, you know.
that explains it.
Oh! Anyway.
When we had spoken to Mr. Chin, he had indicated that where Spectrum is where that huge car park is now.
But what Mr. Monroe is saying now is that he had both sides, the car park area and the other side. That's what he's saying now.
He's saying he developed it.
Yeah.
And he spent millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
You know, but you're right. Why didn't you get legal advice at that point? Because if you're engaging in business transactions as a businessman, you always look for legal advice.
Especially of that nature.
Of that nature and of that magnitude.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that Mr. Chin said, well, I'm going to build a little golf course and stuff and whatever. The issue is it became a business transaction. That ultimately because if you're looking at things clinically as a lawyer, it became a business transaction where you agreed to sell the remainder of your lease.
At the end of the day, yes.
And what X decided, X could change their mind and decide what they do. And once they get whatever approvals they get, they could do whatever they could go down wherever they want to go.
But people do that all the time.
You can't control that.
People do that all the time. They say they're just going and build a little annex to the building. And next thing you know, it's 3 stories going up in the air.
But people do that in town all the time. And
that's why I say people do that all the time.
This is a residential thing, and all of a sudden, bam, it's commercial.
Yeah. Well, and maybe at the time, $1 million+ was a lot of money, yeah?
It's still a lot of money now, you know.
It is.
Nah,
even though it's $200 million to build a school, it's still a lot of money, even if it's just $1 million. I always find it's incredible the prices we pay for things. You see a little bridge they build and they renovate, and yeah, it costs, I'm just giving a price. I'm not saying this is the actual price. It costs $10 million, and I'm like, what costs $10 million for that bridge? What? We have the most expensive contractors on the planet.
Because it actually costs 5, and by the time they get at 5, it increased by another 5.
I'm amazed at the prices for things. I remember they built a walkover, and they said the walkover was 14 million, and I'm like, how is a walkover $14 million? What these contractors $14 million to get people from one side of the road to the next?
Yeah.
When you're waiting on government money, you better cater for the long wait,
Yeah. But
Paul, I'm so sorry.
Better older than me.
I understood after why.
Better older than me. That's what I would say.
Anyway, so we can open the line, Steve. Unless you want to call back Mr. Chin.
I saved a few 100,000 brain cells.
We can call back Mr. Chin. As he wrote about news source did a story on our program on Derek Chin. She wrote an article on it.
Really? What did she say?
But she spoke about some of the things he said. Rhoda, not easy.
Yeah. All right, we have some calls. Let's go. Good morning.
Good morning. Listen to Mr. Monroe brings to mind to me my concern of the leases that were given out in Chaguaramas.
I know somebody was going to go there,
I see in years to come, that the people who are given leases are going to ask for change of use, and down there is going to become exclusive. Okay, once again, disbarring the regular or the local people. And when I look at what has happened to Sharkville, as someone who grew up going there, and the space that the public now has, it is very, very disheartening. And I refuse to use and go and patronize that water park or whatever they call down there. That is what is going to happen to Chaguaramas in the next couple of years.
Don't forget Tobago.
Before. Tobago, but Chaguaramas is dear to my heart. Okay?
But
it is dear to my heart, yes?
You know what you're saying will happen in years to come. Happened already.
Of course, yes, that I'm talking from a point of knowledge, Wendell.
Yeah.
So I know what I'm saying.
About it's already happened.
It's just a charade. Okay?
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yep.
Yes. Have a good day, gentlemen.
All right. All day. That's it. Good morning.
And guess what? There was somebody at the center of it then, and was the center of it then again.
Animal farm, Some animals more equal than others. Good morning, Nemesis.
Good morning, gentlemen. In response to your statement this morning, also added to that, well, this was before they paved the grooves on the flyover. I went into Port of Spain some time ago, and I was mortified that water was accumulating on a ramp. Cars had to slow down and go to the right side because water was a puddle of water was accumulating on a flyover. I didn't understand how that was happening. But
it happens.
That's because the ingenuity of our contractors.
They're special. They have to be special for something like that to happen.
That's why they cost so much.
That's why they cost $14 million to build a walkover.
And
this is why Nemesis on the Mosquito Creek, where the road is beginning to collapse.
Oh yes.
Again?
Yes. If you see the pictures of that, you cannot go on it. All they did was take dirt and pave it.
Nemesis, I think clearly that some sort of different route needs to be identified than Mosquito Creek, because Mosquito Creek
has been
fixed and repaired and restructured so many times.
I have been asking the question on several platforms. How is it that a government is in office for 9 years and cannot finish a road 300 feet long? I've been asking that question and nobody.
No, but that Mosquito Creek issue predates this administration also, you know.
Yes, it does.
That Mosquito Creek has been a challenge for many an administration in Trinidad and Tobago, which suggests that the area may not be suitable for a major roadway.
So this fella, Kubla Singh, may have been right with his assessment.
Maybe.
Right? So I want to talk about you all spoke about manholes. In Enterprise where I live, that is a major problem. All the manholes, people just train palleted manholes so people don't fall in it. So there's a problem all over, it would seem. Right? You spoke about walking on the sidewalks, Paul. You can imagine the trauma that people in wheelchair or
just to go back, is it that the manhole covers are being stolen or they're just not there?
No, it's
some of them falling in.
Yeah. And let me add Nemesis to what you talk about the wheelchair. During the cruise ship season, there were a few passengers that were on wheelchairs, and you would not believe the difficulty they had.
And I've heard that cry from the Disabled Association in Trinidad and Tobago years now, and we have done nothing to fix the problem. Right? Referencing land. It is not the first time, and it seems to be the pattern that government give farmers land to do farming, and the only land they could find to build house after that is the land that the farmers are using. I don't understand how we have. If you're flown over Trinidad and Tobago in the night, if you're coming to Trinidad in the night,
that is not exactly true to say that the only place they build houses is agricultural land. That is not necessarily true.
Well, it often happens.
Oh, that's better.
Reclaiming land from farmers, the agricultural land that they have taken the time to level, flatten, fertilize, and all these things, where you could find barren land and build houses.
Lincoln, that is, and you know why? That is because you're saying government gave them the land to farm. In a lot of instances, they just went on the land and started to farm on state land.
Yes,
that is exactly
most
true.
of the instances.
Yes, well, in that case, then you can't really. Well, they have been doing it, but they're browsing for land that they're squatting on.
That does not belong to them.
That does not
that
belong.
They have no legitimate claim to.
Well, I know for Egypt, it was land that was belonging to the people and them. So, then I know they was doing the same thing in Tunapuna. They reclaimed some land to build houses in Tunapuna, and it just seems to be a pattern. So I'm not making no comments about that. But definitely that iron railing on the flyover, Steve, that I could only see because I was imagining those railings were there for the water to run off.
No. For the flyover, it needs to move with the heat of the midday sun. It would expand and so on. So that is for. Like the bottom of Lady Young Road by St. Anne's, just before you get to the Queen's Park Savannah. That's a bridge that always floods.
Always flooding. And I saw a video circulating on social media with a bridge that they just repaired. And the road collapsing already. Last week, the bridge collapsed.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yes,
and
that's true.
And the road collapsing already. So
but the contractor got his money?
Here the problem. And here why it will continue to happen. There must be somebody who does sign off on these projects. Unless and until these people start to lose their license to get this kind of assurance, you would find that people would still continue to pass shabby work. The fellow went under the bridge and floating bridge undermining already a week after the project finished.
You are making a very, very huge assumption that in many cases, I'm not saying this.
You gotta go in the Senate by Paul.
But in many cases, it's not a meritocracy with contract awarding,
True. All right, thanks, Nemesis.
Good morning, Rena Jennings. She says, every morning I listen to this show, and every morning it's doom and gloom, negativity. Nothing good is happening in the country. If you want to start it in a sour note, this show will help. Well, welcome back, Rena.
Morning.
Good morning, Steve.
Morning, Sweetbread.
Good morning, Dr. Paul.
Good morning to our ray of sunshine. Please say something positive so that Rena may be uplifted this morning.
Well, something positive. Yes. I'm cooking right now. I'm cooking early because my daughter is attending university now, so I want to congratulate her.
Congratulations. That's good news. Very good.
There you go.
There you go, Rena. You get
Yes.
some good news.
So I don't want her buying junk food. So I'm cooking in the morning so she could get her lunch and her water to take to school.
You going to cook for your next 4 years?
Yeah.
Well,
yes.
yes.
Does she have to?
Every morning?
Yeah.
A lot of people do it every morning for many
Take
years.
a bow. Take a bow. Good for you.
No, let me tell you why I'm doing it too. I don't want her buying food out there that is full of salt and oil. You know, because she has to stay healthy. Somebody that remind me, you know.
That's a good. You invested in your future, then you're right.
You know, so I have to get her healthy. My son carries lunch every morning to work as
Good
well.
for you.
Nobody, I don't let them buy stuff because.
So what's on the
it's
menu for your daughter today or your family today?
So I am making chow mein noodles with sweet and sour chicken breast.
Randall?
Well, I just said you would anyway.
I like chicken breast too.
Mr. Abadi, hang up, please. Just hang up.
So,
Bye-bye.
but here it cut up small.
Be better.
Yes, Randall.
All right.
Nothing.
Anyway, you know, one thing, you know, somebody enlighten me, please. I did not know, or I never knew that if you have a lease, you can sell it. I thought you have a lease, it's just passed on to your family.
You can sell
Oh, I learned something this morning.
It's something that people in the city do all the time, trust me. Especially when they
that
get
is
a lease from Port of Spain Corporation for 99 years. They sell it for loads of money. They pay very little for it and sell it for loads of money.
So that is why I have this space in Chaguaramas, the water park business. That was an original lease to that person. No, it was leased to somebody else.
But I'm not sure how Chaguaramas went. All I know, Chaguaramas was mad in controversy. Because people pay very little for what they get there.
And I feel it for Mr. Mono this morning, and because he has been trying as a businessman, he has been successful, but I felt the pain in him. That's why he had to say that's what he said, you know. But say what? Oh,
Mr. Monroe himself has not had a completely stellar rep right.
Thank you.
So,
yeah. Okay then. You have a good day.
All right.
Big
Let me
business
just say it
people.
one more time that we cannot answer WhatsApp calls.
The Chaguaramas Development Authority.
We have telephone number. Hold on, Richard. We have telephone numbers. You can call the studio. We do not have the facility to answer WhatsApp calls. I'm just saying it. The person that probably called 10 times on WhatsApp from Trinidad and Tobago. Call 222-8255.
Gentlemen, I have to leave a little early today. You all have a wonderful day.
Yeah, permission granted.
We have to do so.
Where are you going?
We want to know. We're going to.
Yes, the early morning breakfast. It is that early morning, but.
No, it's a brunch, an early morning brunch.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Oh, that explains it.
That explains what?
Don't worry, everybody else.
Paul made a quick exit. You just left.
Yeah.
I got a plate. But let me tell you, Wendell, there are certain words that get you weak all the time. Huh?
I swear, you
Yeah.
should write a book, you know. You, Charmaine, Rena, Mrs. R. All of you should come together and write a book on this Power Breakfast show, you know.
Good morning to all my radio friends, Charmaine, Mrs. Arena, Miss Digo Martin, everybody, all the callers from at home and abroad. Good morning. Yeah, I guess I'm late. So anyhow, I think I heard the tail end of Mr. Monroe. His voice sounds very strong, though.
It does, eh? It does sound strong.
Yeah, it sounds like he in the pink of health. He ain't sung in feeble at all.
Yeah.
Anyhow, it was good hearing him. I didn't know he was still here. No, I thought maybe he had gone back to his homeland.
No, Mr. Monroe have serious business interests in the West too, you know. On St. James Main Road, they have 2 buildings opposite one another that he owns.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Zeno.
All right, gentlemen.
All righty. Take care. Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Yes. I don't know if Richard, I heard you mention just now that that kind of business you need lawyers and stuff. Yes, but if you listen to what Mr. Monroe said, the kind of guns and checks and things he was getting at the time.
From the Port Authority. That's what he said.
Yeah, that was I mean, that was very intimidating. What lawyer had about that? Because
Yeah, what are you telling me? So it's an institution who gave you the lease that is evicting you, and you don't think of your legal rights?
Well,
as a businessman who spent millions of dollars?
No, but if you listen to what he said, at the time,
he said that at that time he was not as experienced as he is now.
Watch me, Richard. Remember, he also used the word crookery. It had other things underneath that, you know.
Yeah, but we don't want to use that word to describe anybody or action at the time because we don't have the facts, so we don't use it either.
No. Yes, I know that, but I just saying what he said. And remember, he also said he didn't have that kind of protection.
But he said he also was less experienced.
Well, yes, and he was less experienced.
He was less experienced.
So I kind of understand what he was saying because let me give you a little quick example.
Paula, before you do that, you know something we didn't do, Richard? We should have asked Mr. Monroe also if it is that he was behind on his lease rent with Port, why they would have done what they did. We should have asked him that, but that it's too late for that now. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, no. I'll just show you now. I wasn't trained with that kind of. But I'll show you something. You see that same Monctop school? I listen to people talking, and you see that $200 million they're talking about to finish it. That was really the cost at the time. That school is plenty more than that now, you know. That was the cost at the time. But let me explain something to you. The extent that school went at that time, the PNM government started that school, and when watch me, all the electrical, all the wiring in the school, all the receptacles put out, all the main distribution. It had 5 blocks. All the main distribution panels put out in all the blocks. What was left to be done there in the electrical was the other thing what they call the chaos. The chaos is where you have your main distribution, and from that you distribute to all the branch circuits to the different blocks. Circuit number block A, block B, block C, the generator, the high voltage transformer. Those are the things to put in with the cables. The raceway for the cables to that was already prepared. The school was painted. The plumbing was done, and we were getting paid. Is when government changed with that, and here what happened. After when government changed, the minister at the time, Mr. Gopi, came to the job, and when he came, he looking at the promise that we get paid, what we never get paid, and what happened with that now? Now I was a main subcontractor, so what ended up happening with that now? When they're not paying the main contractor, remember your contract is hinged on that. So here what happened? I ended up losing almost $2.5 million and nothing, and had to captain the main contractor because my contract is hinged on the contract, and the government itself is what they're paying. So it was a real. Watch me, I never get my side as a small contractor, you know. But I use the priorities I have to get materials and all that kind of thing. As I get valuation, as I get valuations and things, I pay. You understand me? But when they come and they stop the job and stop paying, watch me, you're paying $50,000 and $40,000 a month to workers every fortnight, and they getting paid.
But caller, I would advise anybody.
How much square footage roughly is it in terms of if you're constructing a school? How much square footage is it? Since you
Well, it had 5 blocks, and one of the blocks was about 300 feet long. One of the blocks was about 300 feet long. It had 5, but it spread out in a kind of square area, so it wouldn't be long.
So it's 300 by 300. Is that what you're saying?
Huh?
Each block was 300 by 300.
Times 4, Richard.
What is the length and width?
One block was about 300 by 300 feet long by about 80 or something so wide. But what was happening? Spread like you have a square and the spread among the squares. Not like the longitudinal to say you could multiply 3 by 5. It's not like that. Understand? It was a whole area. I can't really.
How many blocks you said it was? Sorry.
Huh?
How many blocks you said it was? 4 or 5?
5 blocks. But how the blocks were situated? Okay, let me say from one end. Okay, let me see if I can get a rough estimate.
I'm estimating it like 6 blocks, 300 by 6. 300 by 80. So I'm estimating it at 6 blocks is 144,000 square feet. Because if you're working out the cost, you're looking at the square footage and how much it costs per square foot. So if it's 144,000, which is an overestimate, I'm thinking. So let's assume it's 144,000. How much do you think that would cost?
144,000 square foot?
Yeah.
Well, to be honest with you, I can't go into because I am
a quantity surveyor this morning.
Yeah.
In a particular field, I'm contracting a particular field. You understand?
Yeah.
So the square footage, you see that job has so much of discipline that the square footage you have to really work that out because you have to put the plumbing, you have to put the painting, you have to put the brickwork, you have to put that is a lot of I'm not easy to get estimate like that. I don't know where it's
All right, thanks, pal.
All right, caller.
All right, buddy. All right, Rich, let's wrap it up. Wendell. Paul,
all right, morning, Listra Park, and morning for all the others who continue to listen to us, Kathy Ann Tongs, and everybody who listens to us.
Happy birthday once again from Chris Tousse from your peer. Right?
Happy birthday, Chris Tousse. I don't know why my birthdays are.
I want to say happy birthday to Verna Rodriguez. Her birthday was yesterday, and I forgot to mention it. Happy birthday, Verna.
All right.
Birthday yesterday.
Folks, have a wonderful day. Remember to let go and let God.
And of course, just reminding you that theaters on this weekend at Queen's Hall. The best de-stressor probably in the country is theater. And so it's on this weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday at 8:30, Sunday at 6:30 at Queen's Hall. The box office at Queen's Hall opens from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. Tickets also available at the usual outlets, K-Squared Fashions in West Mall, Eastgates, and Brentwood Mall in Chaguanas. Electronics Arima and Tony's Florals at Valpark Shopping Plaza, Jubilee Railway in Tunapuna, and Champlain Auto Services in Champlain. That's where you can get tickets. You can also check RSRR Productions Theatre on social media for information on how to buy tickets online, as well as all of the information that I'm giving you here right now. You can also check page 15 of the Newsday this morning, and you can see a huge ad that gives you all of the information. So have a fantastic day, whatever you do on this Wednesday morning, and remember to smile and laugh, which is great for your health.
All right, thank you so much, Richie Rich. Let's get into 8 o'clock news brief. EVZ.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is time for your news update at 8 o'clock. I'm Afril Sintel Bob. Good morning. A new UN report publicized on September 2nd, titled Caribbean Gangs, Drugs, Firearms, and Gang Networks in Jamaica, St. Lucia, Guyana, and TNT, states that Venezuelan criminal gangs are participating in serious crime in Trinidad and Tobago, both in competition and collaboration with local gangs. The report revealed that Venezuelan criminals are engaging in extortion, human trafficking, and the smuggling of illegal drugs and guns. The report said TNT had a thriving drug trade, serving as a major transit point for cocaine and cannabis, and that the country is well regarded by organized crime networks owing to its location just 11 kilometers from Venezuela and its position outside of the hurricane belt, which allows for year-round trafficking. Education Minister Dr. Nyan Gatsby-Dolly says that despite the fact that $5 billion has been allocated to the Education Ministry, the challenges schools in Trinidad and Tobago face with repairs may stem from a lack of sufficient funding. The minister defended the lack of readiness of some schools for the new academic year on Monday. She said $150 million is allocated for school repairs from the $5 billion given to the Education Ministry from the national budget, according to Minister Nyan Gatsby-Dolly. Meanwhile, the Education Minister also said government is unable to build a new school for students of Mount Hope Secondary School. In the interim, however, she says they will continue to make repairs to the existing structure so they can make it more comfortable for students and teachers. In the wake of a protest over conditions at the school by the PTA on Monday, the minister admitted it was one of the schools carted for a new building. Further afield, the Grenfell Tower fire in the UK that killed 72 people was a result of dishonest companies, successive governments, and a lack of strategy by the fire service, a scathing report concluded. The report says a cladding product manufacturer deliberately concealed fire risks while coalition and conservative governments ignored, delayed, or disregarded concerns. All deaths were unavoidable, Inquiry Chair Martin Moore-Bick says. MP Keir Starmer pledged that the government would work to prevent similar tragedies occurring in the future. Prosecutors say they will decide on possible charges by the end of next year. Well, that was your update to 8 o'clock. Look out for news in full at 12 noon.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right, it is 2.5 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock on this Hump Day Wednesday, the 4th day of September, and let us welcome Denise Deming. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you, and thank you very much. It's a wonderful morning. We live in a wonderful country. Welcome to Power Conversations. Trinidad and Tobago has a very rich history in sports, with athletes who have excelled on the global stage. This morning, we're going to continue the discussion about sports. And our guest today is Mushtaq Mohammed. But before I welcome Mushtaq to the conversation, remember, you can call us on 222-TALK. That's 222-8255. And if you're in the US or Canada, it's toll-free 866-525-1099. That's 866-525-1099. And if you wish to WhatsApp us, you can do it on 868-318-1021. 868-318-1021. Trinidad is an absolutely wonderful country with a lot of potential. And Mushtaq is with us. Mushtaq, your history is so amazing. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning to you and all your viewers and listeners worldwide. I'm happy to join you.
Thank you for being here. Mushtaq, when I looked at who you were and what you've done, you're the president of the Caribbean Volleyball Association. You're the president of the FIVB and the NORCICA Development Commission, executive member of Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee, executive vice president at the International Volleyball Federation, vice president of the North Central American Caribbean Confederation. My goodness, how do you do all of that?
Proper time management.
Proper time management.
Yes.
You probably can teach some of us how to manage our time and do all of these things.
The thing about it is when you love what you do, you find the time to do it.
Wonderful.
And I love what I do, and therefore it's not a burden, but it's more a hobby and it's a passion.
Absolutely wonderful. Mushtaq, I want to begin with asking, your name is Mushtaq Mohammed. Whenever the internet drops, just continue, Mushtaq.
Yeah.
So Mushtaq, the question I was, yeah, that is technology in our country and how poor our technology is. And there are people who don't like me to say this, but every time I try this activity, there's a technological problem. So forget about it and let's just carry on with the conversation. So
I hear the question.
So I asked you, who are you? I know that you're an Indo-Trinidadian. I know your name is Mushtaq Mohammed. You're a wonderful person, but who are you?
Well, I might like to consider myself an educator. The Almighty God has given me an opportunity to work within my passion. And I say work within my passion because I used to be a school teacher for 25 years in its civil engineering department at the San Fernando Technical Institute. That part of me, very few of you know, because they never associated me with civil engineering. They always associated me with sport. So I have a combination of engineering background together with sport. And the engineering background allowed me to interact with students and kids and children to help them mold and shape their life to develop a career. And so too sport. So I say sport gives me the similar opportunity to do what I love doing best, working and helping youth, educating them, guiding them wherever is possible and necessary. Because I am the firm believer, my personal philosophy is education shared is education multiplied.
What a wonderful statement. Education shared is education multiplied. How come we're only sharing the education about guns and drugs? That is just that is just me being naughty. But education shared is education multiplied. What a wonderful statement. What inspired your involvement in sports?
Well, I grew up in a small village in Piparo. And Piparo is synonymous with other things than sport. So nobody knew I come from Piparo because everybody you talk about Piparo, you talk about Dole Shady. And Piparo have a lot of good citizens coming out of there. And I like to assume myself as one. But in front of my home was one of the only volleyball court that it had in the country. There were two and Piparo had one. So most of the volleyball was played there then. An outdoor court, an asphaltic surface court, not like what we have now, and not the national players came out of there at the time. All our national players now cannot train on those courts. They want indoor air condition and proper surface and all of that. Apart from, additional to that, in my community, we played a lot of cricket and I was involved in cricket. So volleyball and cricket are my first two love in terms of sport. And that is, sorry, go ahead.
What a wonderful statement you've just made there, that Piparo is not just about Dole Shady. Piparo, and anybody who's listening and don't know about Dole Shady, go and ask somebody else. I was a drug-related kind of person. But it is so good to hear that there was a volleyball court, and that is one of the things that inspired you. You also said that that's not how they play volleyball these days. They want an indoor environment. They want it to be air-conditioned. And that is a concern that I have because we live in a tropical country. Does it always have to be an air-conditioned court?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But, if you want to excel at the highest level, for sure, you want to have the best playing environment. But it doesn't take away from playing on a recreational perspective.
Yeah. So is that court still there in Piparo?
The playing area is there, but it's no longer used for volleyball. It's just they're non-existent. As I said, the younger ones don't want to play on that surface anymore.
Yeah. Wow. All right. So, Mushtaq, what sporting action has you proud of our country?
Sporting action.
Or sport. Okay, not sporting action. No. What sports has you totally proud of our country?
No, I mean, hey, our Trinidad and Tobago is known for cricket, football, athletics at the top level. So if you would say proud is when, for sure, when we qualify for the World Cup in football. Although I'm not a footballer, I say, but the passion that surrounded that moment, I don't know if it could be replicated in any way. And that would have been probably a proud action moment, whatever. Proud because I could say another thing in terms of it, being in the Olympics and you hear your national anthem played, it's right now my pause reason. It's here reason. I was in 2012 in London when Keishon Walcott won, and I wasn't in the stadium, but when I saw it and I listened it on the television, it was like an emotional, tearful and feeling, joy, happy, you know. And coming away from those discussions, we talk also about from volleyball perspective, because I'm a volleyball person. When we qualified for the World Championships in 2017, was a 10-year program that I started, or the executive then started. And that was the goal. And achieving that goal was, hey, you had a development plan, you expected it to mature within 10 years, it did, and that would have been a proud moment from my side also. Qualifying for the World Championships, smallest nation. And what we in FIVB, the International Volleyball Federation, we would say, we are a category 2. The highest is 5. Category 2 don't qualify for a World Championships. So it is something that was really an achievement.
What do you think caused us to qualify? You talked about a 10-year program. So can we talk a little bit about what, if you want to qualify as a category 2, when the best qualifiers are category 5s, then what was different? What made us qualify?
We had to have, as what we would say, testicular fortitude to do it. Because I tell you why. We didn't know we were going to qualify. Our aim was for a world-class event. Sport company was just on the door of beginning in 2004. And there was something that came out of sport company that assisted us, funding. We started a program in 2007. We hosted an international event here where the likes of Cuba at that time, Cuba in 2007 coming to Trinidad, USA, Canada, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic for women volleyball. So the intention was to show the public what volleyball really is, the level it can be played. You see it on television, but being on the environment live, having volunteers work with you, developing skill set for volunteers and technical officials and all that to run an international tournament was important. So we did that. Then the people saw what it can be done, saw the level, and we mapped out a 10-year development plan so that in our research, we were data-driven, we were research-driven. We recognized where our limitations were, and we recognized what we need to do to get there. We recognized that one of our limitations was enough funding, so we decided to concentrate on a flagship program. That flagship program was women volleyball. We recognize that it's going to take you 8 to 10 years to qualify for a world championship or a world event. We expected to qualify by 2017, 2018, 2020. We know that Olympics was beyond our reach because only 12 teams qualified for there. So the World Championships was our next year objective. And then we started a whole program to fulfill what was required in terms of what is required to qualify for a championship, how to select your athletes, where athletes should come from, talent identification, coaching education, all of that. And that pathway allowed us to qualify for the Olympics. One additional thing I must say with that. Before 2007, we had almost 35 to 40 of our quality female athletes going away on scholarships to the United States. That means our athletes would have gone away. Yes, they would have gotten an education, which they want. They got to play volleyball at a higher level, a better level, and with a different environment, better athletes. But it wasn't working for us because we didn't have a unit. We didn't have a proper team at home, or we didn't have a consistent team to work together, to participate, to develop together, to become world class. UTT came on board on 2007. UTT program started, and UTT had the volleyball as a program, as a national university. And because of being a national university, one of the objectives was to provide support for national sport. And they absorbed our national female program. And I say absorbed, the coach who was working with us, they hired him on the understanding that he's going to still be the national coach, but working for UTT. Our athletes got an opportunity to come to school to get an education and train together with educating themselves. That is what they wanted, education and training. So we were at UTT. They had an educational program. They were getting the education, they were getting the coaching, they were getting support, housing, they were getting meals, proper meals with a dietitian and meals that an athlete should be using. They were getting access to physical training and strength and conditioning. So we had the full package. And that was a percentage, a great percentage, that working together with the development program, what was required and what made it happen. And that is what made the success. That 2017, we had the qualifier in Trinidad and we qualified to go.
Yeah, and that is wonderful. Here's something, a challenge that I want to throw out, that very few people want or see an opportunity to be good in their sports, to have a good coach and have good opportunities here. A lot of our athletes look abroad, so they all try to get a scholarship. You're saying that this is an example of us creating an environment in which the coaching occurred and the team eventually played well. So has that happened again, or tell me about that? How did that happen?
Well, how did it what?
How did you, what you did was you move people away from I want to go abroad to wanting to stay here.
Yes, we provide education for them.
Yes. So has that happened again, or how can we do that?
Well, the program at UTT has been, it continued to exist, but without the amount of support that used to take place, right? The housing support is no longer there. We try our best. The funding for it to facilitate that is no longer there. So hence, yes, we still have the scholarship program. So they get any opportunity to come to school, yes. They get any opportunity for the coaching, yes. But the other factors are no longer there to support that. So we have athletes still have to leave home now. When they were in a dormitory, when they got a transport from the dormitory to go to school, now they have to come from wherever they live in, Point 14, Mayaro, Arima, wherever, struggle to come to school. That meant when they were staying together at the dorm, it meant that they could have trained together before they go to school and come back home together, come back to the dorm together, get their nutrition together, go back to train together. So now that they're no longer in a dormitory environment, that is a big factor, because you have students coming from different parts, different neck of the wood in Trinidad, having to come to train and have to go return home and then come back to school in the morning. Those are time spent, important time spent on the road that could be spent on training.
Mm-hmm. So if you created a miracle, what would you change at UTT?
Give the funding to bring it, restore the funding to make it happen again.
Yeah.
I mean, recently I saw where a team went to Jamaica, and a sporting team with the minister and all of them, right, to visit and find out how they're doing it, how they are tuning out their athletes. And I'm hoping that something good will come out of it, okay? But our program is there at UTT. It's not only for volleyball, it's for other sporting disciplines. including basketball, netball, table tennis, football, and cricket, and volleyball, 6 sports, right? Athletics, 7 athletics, right? So the funding is required to make that aspect of it happen, to keep your athletes together, to provide so that they don't have to worry about going and taking a taxi to travel, to get where the meal is coming from, the quality of meal that they're going to get. And it's not, forgive me for saying parlor food if you want to call it that. It's quality food that will provide nutritional value to assist in their training. So they're going to train not half starved or not empty belly. When they finish, they're getting proper salts and hydrants for the system. Those are the support pieces that we lack, not only in all sport, I believe, because no other sport has, for us to go upwards, we have to have a similar scenario for other sports, because that makes it a little bit more professionalized.
How does one win a scholarship or get a scholarship to go to this UTT sports program? What do you have to do?
There's a screening process. Of course, you must have your academic requirement to enter. And you can have an academic requirement to enter at different levels, because they have the certificate level, at the diploma level, at the degree level. And once you fulfill the academic requirement to enter at any of the levels, and you come to our screening when we have it, and the screening process we will select from that the athletes who will be offered a scholarship. And we're using the word scholarship in the sense of free education, access to coaching. We still have the access to strength and conditioning and all of that. Guidelines, I must say, to nutrition, but not providing the nutrition. Mm-hmm. So we still have that opportunity because we have a rehab unit who work with our athletes. So those aspects of the scholarship is still intact. The other support part of it is no longer intact.
Yeah. So you're saying that we have that scholarship context and those scholarship activities that could make a difference. But you're saying that we need funding to do other parts of it. For instance, to support it. And if we did that, do you think we would do better in 2028?
It means that, yes. Well, I see, as I said, certain development programs take 10 years. Mm-hmm. Right? Certain sport, if you do your deed, right? But for sure, it would add for us to do better, maybe not 2028, but probably 2032. Mm-hmm. But it could start in 2028 to see what is happening, and because you have athletes now, we have athletes currently in training and our athletic program that are doing well. They continue to improve. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but we have one of the stakeholders for the athletics program supporting our athletes in a similar way, but that funding is coming from a corporate company, right? And that corporate company has recognized the importance of that aspect of the support, and they are coming in and they say, look, for athletics, we will help you with this number of athletes to provide some funding to facilitate some of what we have been talking about earlier. Mm-hmm.
So the point you're making is that even if we got some more corporate funding and corporate collaboration, we have enough athletes who have the potential for us to improve in our international performances. Is that what I'm hearing?
For sure we do. We have great talent, Trinidad are not short of talent, Yeah. Trinidad is not short of ideas, What we are short of is implementation.
Okay. I think we're short of the system, structures, and processes. But what you've just described is that UTT has the systems, they have the structure, but they don't have the support in order to implement, which is amazing. Earlier on, you talked about a team going to Jamaica. My observation is that every government goes to Jamaica to find out what they do. Is that a valid statement, or is that just in my head?
Well, I don't know the statistics of every government, but I know that people do travel and people try to find out what is the best practice outdoor. And that is, nothing is wrong in doing that. Well, I mean, hey, with the world of communication, we don't need to do that. We could take that money and spend it elsewhere to provide some support for the athletes. But that is not where I am. We have information. We have access to a lot of information for best practice. I can recall I don't know if go back, 2004 started the sport company. But before the sport company started, I remember prior to that, the Australian Sporting Academy came to Trinidad on an invitation from the government to find out how they did and what they do for the Olympics 2000. In 2000, Australia won 58 medals. Never did they do that before. They were hosting. And what they have done is that recognize the importance of podium performance teams. So our government invited them to come across to Trinidad and evaluate what we have. And they implemented, and based on that, they formed the sport company. And the sport company, when it was formed in 2004, was formed to facilitate the data or use the data that was provided by the Australians for what we should do. Earlier, I talked about volleyball, and when we decided to use the women program as our flagship program, it didn't mean that we forsook the others. But what we did, we concentrated 80 to 90% of our funding to something that will be successful or has the potential of being successful. We can't spread money all over the place and don't achieve anything. So what the Australians did is that what they did for the Olympics 2000, or prior to that, and they're planning maybe 20 years before, when they knew they were going to host the Olympics, they did something that evaluated their sporting system and their sporting structure and recognized where the possibility of podium performance were and concentrate a lot on those. The same model they brought to Trinidad. They did an evaluation of all the sporting association in Trinidad, and they came up with 5. And the recommendation to the government and when the sport company formed was to select these 5 and concentrate on these 5. Do not forsake the others, but concentrate on these 5 for your podium performances. It added 6, because volleyball and hockey could not decide which was the better of the two, so to speak. So they added 6. So these 5 sports were football, cricket, athletics, of course, netball, hockey, and volleyball. 6 sports. Now the sport company have 15 sports. So you understand any context?
Yeah. So you're saying the sports company at the moment, for when the Australian people had suggested to us that we concentrate on 6. But if we are concentrating on 15, are we funding these 15 in such a way that they will achieve any objectives?
I can't answer that. I don't know. I don't know. I know the funding has been less than what it was from our volleyball. My knowledge of volleyball, what we used to get in 2007 to 2012, more or less, we no longer get that. Now, I'm no longer involved in volleyball integrally. I used to be the president then, but I know a little bit of what has happened, but we no longer get that amount. Maybe we no longer get 50% of that amount too, probably less than 50%, So, yeah. So
if you had to recommend to the sports company the 5 sports they should focus on, what would you suggest? Which 5 sports would you suggest?
Based on the survey, I would still probably recommend the same 5 because those are data driven.
Yeah. So we don't have fresh data.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if there's any survey was done since that would have been 2002, 2003. So I don't know if any survey has been done since then. We were not called to any.
Okay, let's just reflect on the 2024 Olympics and tell me what lessons can be learned from our country's performance in the 2024 Olympics? Because we didn't do well, right?
Well, it depends on who is evaluating it.
What is your evaluation?
I can't really give a data, a scientific evaluation. I could give as you say, a rum shop talk evaluation. You know, but because I won't want to be, I cannot really fairly say, because the fact that I know Leah from a child in Bertrand, a long kid in Asher Gills, and she used to play volleyball with me. And seeing her there, I say, wow, that was fantastic. You know, she always had that aspiration. Some of the other athletes in there who are there, we can see that, yes, they will have the potential and they are growing as young athletes. It's a young team. So I would say we have credits from where they perform. Okay. The thing about it is that if you're preparing for Olympics and Olympics come out, Olympics go, you must know that in 2016, where your athletes performed and who are your athletes. And you have to fill the gaps as you go along. But prepare to fill the gaps. So they must know that, hey, an athlete in 2020, 2016, how they performing, then, okay, we expect something in 2020. Or we expect something in 2024. But do we have athletes who participated in 2016 in a developmental way and know that in 2024 we have a greater expectation for them? None of these athletes, I don't think, I don't know, I can't recall, they probably would have participated in 2016. So in that case, I don't want to, now we're talking for, in this Olympics, athletics, swimming were a major focus, okay? I'm not an expert there, and I can't really say that, hey, what is the analysis of there? From our outside view, I would have loved to see us at least with a silver or a bronze medal, but we didn't come home with any. We need to have proper evaluation, where we are, why we were not there from a scientific perspective. Why were we not there? And then put things in place to get there. Putting things in place to get there is not about thinking, expecting it to happen because somebody training somewhere. We need to monitor. We need to provide that support that I talk about with the UTT team and the athletes. And we need to evaluate as we go along. So all of the support that's required is necessary. We are not short of facilities, but we're short of some. For instance, javelin. In this country, probably only have one proper, from my knowledge, I don't know if I'm wrong, one proper location where you could train for javelin, and that's at the Hazy Crawford. If you want, we have a javelin gold medalist. Should we have other location where people could throw a bamboo?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What we were successful in javelin?
So what I'm hearing you say is that because we've been successful with javelin, maybe we need to identify some other spaces where we can teach people to throw the javelin and where they can.
So the internet dropped.
Do it comfortably. Let's talk a little bit about our infrastructure.
Yeah.
Do we have sufficient infrastructure?
Not for all the sport, but for some of the sports.
Mm-hmm.
We have about 7 or 8 stadiums.
We have 11 stadiums.
11 stadiums, see? Yeah, 11, wow. And our problem is not what we have. Our problem is how we maintain what we have. Because out of the 11, how much of them are serviceable? Mm-hmm. And how much of them can? Because you find that a national team, we still charging a fee to the National Federation to train a national team. Be it netball, be it basketball, be it volleyball, or be it football.
Say that again. Say that again. What I heard you say is that our national teams have to pay to
To
train
use-
in the stadium?
Yes.
Okay. And what are
I
your...
could talk about basketball, volleyball, netball. If we train in the indoor facilities that they have, we pay to use it. And additionally, if a club come to do a sweat and the government say, oh, this policy is you will get this certain number of days free, and that club come to pay, they have priority.
So just now, a club will have priority over a national team
Once they're paying.
once they're paying. What is your view of that?
Of course, I scoff at it, but I don't make the policy. We should look, if a national team needs 6 days or 5 days training in a facility, a national team should have a home where they could call a home, where the athletes could store the equipment and come back to use it the next day, not have to pick it up and carry it wherever they have to go to. And when they come there, they know that, look, everything going to be there for them. All the balls, all the accessories for training, all the for weightlifting, for whatever. And train there for 6 days a week without interruption, without a timetable of interruption. Give it to them. You know what they get? During the day period, where nobody uses it, everybody at work, but also athletes at work. We don't have professional athletes. And if we want to do well, and that's another topic I would say, if you want to do well, our athletes need to be paid to be a sports person, to become a professional, so that they concentrate on playing sport for your country. Dennis, you would know that the billboards of Trinidad over the world is national athletes. I haven't traveled a few places, and when they say where you from, Trinidad, they may not know Trinidad, especially if it's an Asian country. If you say West Indies, they know you. If you say Brian Lara, right away you get first class treatment. Some people in Europe would know, hey, you Trinidad and Tobago, wow, Dwight York, great hero, So these outside our sporting heroes are our billboards for the country. If we want that to continue, we need to continue to create sporting heroes. And what sporting heroes to be created have to have support, as we spoke about earlier.
There's something I just want us to talk a little bit about, and is going back to this concept that a national team has to pay to use a stadium. And is that a global thing? Does that happen internationally? Do you know?
Well, it may occur. See, as we would want to talk about first world countries and third world countries, the bigger teams will have their own home, have their own facility. You go down to San Diego in the USA, there's a whole Olympic environment for training and research and all that. Yes, in the third world country do exist. We are one of those. In other areas, in the other countries, bigger ones who play sport internationally, Germany, whatever, their athletes are professionals. They are paid to play and paid to train, and they get a salary for being a national athlete. And because the coach has a salary too.
Yeah.
And in Trinidad, that doesn't happen.
Recently, I just laughed when I saw an athlete getting a check after the Olympics, because to me, that check after the Olympics was a waste of time. What was needed is a check before the Olympics so that that athlete could prepare himself and do all that is necessary. But anyway, that's what we have to live with, so that's what we live with. Let's just move on a little bit and let me ask you a question. How can we better integrate sports and technology into our training programs for athletes? Because there's a whole lot of technology that can make a difference. How can we do that?
Well, first we have to have access to the technology, and we have to have the people to use the technology. Yes, technology driven is really important. Denise, is it light good here? Is it?
You're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
So the technology is important, and the use of technology and the knowledge of how to use the technology. However, if you have the technology, but you don't have the home to keep the technology or the place to train, how would you be able to use it? Simple things such as you talk about technology in terms of how to get an athlete to perform better, strength and conditioning, the equipment to use for strength and conditioning. That's a whole gym, So using it, we need to educate our local coaches that technology and science assist in peak performance, assist to get you there. A lot of our coaches locally still believe that no pain, no gain, and they do not recognize that, hey, you want to do 100 of this and 200 of that and that kind of thing, rather than understanding that more less can be more, right? So the use of technology or the use of anything in terms of to assist the training will always enhance, but we still need the basic. You still need a place to train. You still need access to your athletes for more than 2 to 3 hours an afternoon when they finish from work. Athletes have to go to work, struggle with the traffic, struggle to come back, grab a bite. I think grab a bite. May not even get water at training, and expect them to go to the Olympics and perform the best. How does that possible? How can we compete? Where I give you a volleyball example. Kenya came to qualified for the Olympics, and they had to play against United States. For the photo, this was something that was outstanding to me. When we did the team photo, Kenya was there with 6 support staff. United States were there with 15 support staff. It is not equal. We don't expect it to be equal, because they have the facility, they have the ability to pay 15 staff, strength and conditioning, peak performance coach, a whole lot of coaches that will be able to be specific to the athlete's need. We need to still become athlete-centered. We are not athlete-centered yet.
And that is absolutely great to hear. You say that we're not yet athlete-centered, because that is not just about the performance of the individual. It is about the support as well. And you've just described things like, who is the psychologist with the athletes? Who is the gym trainer with the athletes? Who understands nutrition with the athletes? Who's the medical practitioner with the athletes? And you're saying that in the US, there was about 15 supporters versus 6 in supporting staff. Yeah. And what I'm hearing from this is that if we transformed our approach to sports, it would not just improve the athletic performance, but the support structures and the support professions will also expand.
Yes, and we will create more jobs.
Yeah. We create more jobs, and we also will create more training opportunities. So it means an expansion in places like UTT and UWI for the kinds of supporters, that support staff that is needed for your athletic program.
Yes, definitely. Additionally, if you have alongside that same thing, what happens is that, and we go back to what I've said earlier, you have now better ambassadors for your country, because you have more athletes going out. You have more gold medals, silver medals, bronze medals. You have more people participating in the World Championships. You have more Brian Lara and Dwight Yorks have been created. Atobola. More of those are being created. So your country get an exposure, which is part of our sports tourism also.
Yeah. So
internet feed.
if, let's say,
Yeah.
prepare ourselves.
Repeat the question.
Okay, if the government called you and asked, Mushtaq, what can we do to improve our performance in the 2028 Olympics? What would you tell them?
Provide what the athletes require. Employ the athletes, give them a salary so that they don't have to concentrate on anything else, and provide that and give them the required support and structure and as we said, the educational opportunities, the support staff, all that is required, proper nutrition, proper access to training. You cannot compete against somebody who's training 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the afternoon, having a rest, having good nutrition, having good supplement, and expect to perform and get gold medals when you go to the Olympics in 2028. We need to have, it has to be similar. We have to be similar in terms of not everything, because we probably might have a biotype that they don't have, but they have the support that brings the type of athletes that they have up to the level. So we may have natural performers, but natural performance don't cut it at the Olympics. So we need to get that support for the athletes, holistically support, so that they can do everything that is required for ensuring your athletes have peak performance and at the right time.
Yeah. What would you recommend to identify potential athletes from a young age? How could we do that?
Denise, we have something called, my growing up days, something called common entrance. Now is SEA. And we also have a culture. Your culture is important in your country. And our culture is not to see sport as a benefit, but we see sport something to play as a recreation. We haven't understood yet what the benefits are that sport brings to the human being from a young age all the way through his life, or throughout his lifestyle. So we need to bring a proper talent identification program to identify the talent, but we also need to understand that athletes and the primary school program or the young kids, you need to give them education that surrounds healthy lifestyle. And part of that healthy lifestyle is an exercise lifestyle too. So exercise in your lifestyle. And at the primary school, which is our kids from 5 to 12 or 11, there's a big gap there. There's a formative time for a child to understand the importance of some form of exercise, some form of hand-eye coordination, some form of skills in movement. And instead of sitting down behind a desk for 5 to 6 hours a day and not participating in that kind of activity. So we need to change our educational curriculum to integrate that sporting activity. And not that sporting activity where you give a teacher a part-time or carry him to play. You need a physical education teacher or two at every primary school, and that must be structured into a curriculum that facilitate time for each student to go to that physical educational class, so that starts. And without that start, you're going nowhere. Because there was a research that was done previously. One of my theses I did in my master's was about the benefits of exercise and play. Exercise and play at that stage from 9 to 12 for our young athletes and their performance in not only in exams, the performance as a student, performance as a citizen, improving the awareness of the benefits of exercise and a healthy lifestyle. And that research is there. You know, we did it with a small community in Point Fortin, with a sponsor in Point Fortin. But the research is there to show that citizens who are participating and how it enhanced, how do we reduce bullying in the classroom? One simple thing as that, bullying in the classroom. You know, how it improved in relationship between parents and kids. How it improved in the performance of the students because they recognize the importance. What motivated them? Hey, I want to go to this program, so I must do my homework. If I didn't do my homework, I can't go. So there's a tangible benefit from that. So it motivated them to do their homework. It motivated them to do their studies and things like that. So I think that we need to really rethink the benefits of exercise there. When I'm talking plenty on it, when kids get the exercise there and they get to know about sport, after that, it's a ripple effect that will take place. There's a domino effect that will take place. They will want to. I'll give you an example of myself. One morning, my boss told me, and this is about 10 years ago, we had the same thing in UTT. I needed to just go down and because we had something happen at 5:30 in the morning. And I said, boss, you're interrupting my exercise time, man. He said, what you just do? So I tell him, I say, I do a 5K every morning, you know, da. So what, your doctor tell you to do that? His analysis is that at the age where we are old, only when your doctor tell you to go and exercise, you'll go and exercise. But he didn't. I said, no, I have no problem. I just do it because it's part of my lifestyle. I grew up with it. I grew up playing volleyball in front of my house, and I grew up with it. So throughout my lifestyle, exercise is something that I know the benefit of, and I could. So that happened. So similarly, if our kids get exposed to it, they will know. And what will happen then is we'll have better citizens, more athletic, health, impacting on the health benefits, impacting on the national security benefits. If you want to reduce the national security bill, take some of the national security bill budget and some of the health budget and invest it in the education of our athletes. And you would see a ripple effect in 10, 15 years' time. Sport and education, they don't work together. I don't know why in this country. Ministry of Sport, they don't work together.
Yes. And there is a need for sports and education to collaborate in order to change our lifestyle. You know, and one of the things that popped into my mind when you were talking is that we are increasing in non-communicable diseases. And one of the reasons that we have this increase in the non-communicable diseases is our lack of involvement in activity and sports. And that to me is a transformation of our country, because when I grew up many, many years ago, sports was something you did. You participated in sports somehow. If it was netball, well, in my case, if it was netball, it was hockey or it was athlete. But in today's world, I am not seeing that as part of the way we live. So we are now having a lot of non-communicable diseases in our primary schools.
Definitely. And also what is happening, and all our kids are, and we know the age of the technology that we are in, and it's the technology that you said that we could use for the benefit of improving sport is being used for creating health issues and health problems. Yep. You know, the thing about it is that, yes, all of that is in all of that. And when we started, and I know that we probably have about 5 more minutes again. When we started, we talk about the ability, implementation. And it happens again. I'm not criticizing our government, but most governments and most of the country. If they have to cut any budget, sport and culture get cut first. But they don't realize that the problems, if you do that, you are creating a bigger problem externally, you know? If you provide the support at this level, the grassroots level, one of my masters I did was And sport for development is one of our greatest passion. Using sport as that medium, that mechanism to attract the socially depressed people, students, wherever. Using sport to get them encouraged and then building their education side. Because they come to something that they want and they love, and then go to the other side and give them an education. So we want to move from the known to the unknown. We have too much seminars, too much workshop, and nothing comes out of it. Too much talk show, not yours, but very plenty, and nothing happens. Every year we will have a sport for the business, a sport for that, a health for this and a health for that. We know what everybody knows. We have a lot of intellectuals that know what to do. Why are we not doing it?
That's a rhetorical question. Why are we not doing it, although we have all of the information? My view on why we're not doing it is that we do not respect the fact that we historically have the information. We know what to do. I think that every time we have a change of government, there's an attitude of whatever went before, we throw that out. Let's do what we are going to do. So we start over, and there's an analogy I use that a Barbadian friend of mine says, that elections in Trinidad and Tobago, you start over the race. Elections in Barbados is like a relay, hand the baton from one to the other. And that remains in my mind. So, as you said, we're wrapping up. If a miracle happened and you could change things in our society, what would you do to impact the role of sports?
You said it. You just said it. Let us have a relay.
Yes.
Where it comes to sport, from government to government.
Yes.
Let us have that relay, because we have too many great ideas that come and overturn because it's not my idea. I would love to see the relay, not only in sport, but throughout. Let us recognize that taxpayers' money, my money and your money, has been used to create that program that was there before. And let us continue doing it in education, in sport, in whatever. Because you had many programs on people before. People have perception and ideas. And then we have new ones. So we have I Choose Sport come up.
We have what?
I Choose Sport.
I Choose Sport. What's that?
That's a new one on the sport company and there, right? So that's a new program.
Yeah. So
would there be a relay, or would there be a change?
Yeah.
I was invited to do a little workshop with some of the people, new employees on it, and that's their concern too. They say, no, Mr. Mohammed, we have great ideas here and we love it and we're enthusiastic about it. But government change, we know what will happen. If government change, or if government change, And this is my miracle would let's have a relay. Let's recognize what was done good and continue doing it and improve on it. Not to change everything. I would love to really see that. I love to be a part of that, and I love to contribute to that, so that our athletes would be better served, athlete-centered.
Mm-hmm. So a couple of my takeaways from our program this morning is that we need to be athlete-centered.
Definitely.
And focus to make sure our athletes perform well. We need to ensure that we have a relay. That just came up, that we have a relay so that when good things are happening, we pass it on. We don't stop it. We hand over the baton and we try and improve it. So those are my 2 lessons. Can I hear what are your 2 lessons, or what is your biggest takeaway from this program?
Well, the thing about it that Denny is the biggest takeaway of this program is that you have in this program. No, seriously. Because this program is so important because you have a passion for sport development and sport for development. And I really applaud you for doing this program to bring out ideas, non-political. We talk straight, frank talk, right? And this is what we want to do. So my takeaway from this is that my hope from this is that somebody would listen and somebody would say, yes, I agree, and let's do it. You know, and the relay doesn't also exist at the government level. The relay must also exist at the national federation level. Let us not politicize sport. Let us not, at all levels, I'm not using politicized sport from the perspective of electioneering, but let us recognize that within the sporting community, there are people who can serve and serve well. Let us use them. They don't have to be on your board. They don't have to be, and it's not about traveling. A lot of people and all still have this idea sport is about traveling. You know? No, it's not. So this is, I applaud you for having this program. And I thank you for the opportunity to share what my thoughts are. It probably has been within me for a long while, and I really welcome this opportunity and thank you.
Thank you very much, Mushtaq, for spending an hour with us and sharing so much data and so much experiences. Thank you very much. And this has been Power Conversation. Join me again next Monday. And that's it. Goodbye. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Am I off?